say soccer.
What's goody, footy fans? It's your boy Big John, and welcome to another episode of We Say Soccer, an American take on the world's game. Today, August 15th, 2021, we're going to be talking about the games that just went down this past match week 1. We're going to talk about Jeff's journey and how he felt about his first weekend as an avid fan. And also, we're going to review our bets and talk about other games going around Europe. But first, let me bring in my co-hosts, Jibs and Jeff. Jibs, how was your weekend, man?
It was great. United win. A couple of Americans looking great. Some of the other teams that we like to follow, Real Madrid's of the world, some exciting Italian action. It was a great weekend and high scoring too. Gotta love a weekend with absolutely no draws.
Jeff, how was your weekend, man? First as a fan, but we'll get to that soon. How was your weekend being part of the soccer world?
It was glorious. It opened up on Friday, and it was nice, man. I feel like I'm lucky to have chose this year to come into the EPL and become a serious fan. I did, and I posted this on Facebook. I did feel like I stepped out on the NFL a little bit. I feel like I was honored. And so I immediately, like, after the game, turn on the NFL and try to watch some NFL, like some American football. And so it was pretty cool, man. Other than that, it was a nice, I'll spend it with you guys. It was great.
Good. Awesome. Glad to hear, man. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get into some game reviews. Start off with a bang. Brentford definitely brought it for the opening match. Their fans were in full effect. And I know, Jeff, you brought that up. You thought you really liked how that was your like opening foray into the EPL, and you got to see one of the best crowds of the weekend. How'd you feel about that?
It was great. It was great. Yeah. I mean, and we talked about it last episode. Like, I need some kind of substance to fandom, to be a fan of a team. And so I just have it, it just Brentford and they're opening the opening game against Arsenal, and this is the first time they've been in the EPL. Like, since and
ever.
ever. So I felt like we were kind of we could relate a bit, like we were both going on this journey together, into the EPL, and it did not disappoint. It was. I mean, the crowd was crazy, man. Like I could see why people can get really get behind the EPL. It's comparable, if not better than the NFL, man. That place was rocking. I mean, the crowd was singing "Hey Jude," and I love music, man. So I know who the Beatles are, and I'm thinking to myself, like,
good.
Well, to recognize that "Hey Jude" is a Beatles.
Yeah.
Trust me, if we asked 10 people, if they knew that "Hey Jude" was sang by the Beatles, or they probably would. 80 of them wouldn't know. But anyways, it was great. It was just a great experience to come in hand with Brentford, and they came in, and it was a game. It's a game.
Yeah, no, it definitely was.
That was a hell of a match. They came out firing. They were amped up. Kind of like a couple of the other matches, they suppressed that initial attack and then just got after it. And then I think the only time you didn't hear "Hey Jude" was halftime. They sang that song from beginning to end. Because they've never been in the EPL. They haven't been in top flight English in 74 years.
Yeah.
And all that emotion came through. And it's kind of like a romantic theater, small stadium. I think they're no more than 25,000, and it was a sellout. Yeah. And just seeing all the reactions on social media is crazy. I saw a sponsored post on Facebook today about some random other team. And like one of the commenters were like, "Oh, you guys will get there one day. I'm a Brentford fan, and we host a big match in 2 days against Arsenal." He posted that 4 days ago, and I almost wanted to type back, like, "How you feeling now, bro? Like, your world's got to be upside down. You guys went out there, waxed that ass against a team we dislike personally, but John, and just stepped up." I mean, the last 10 minutes, it was announcers said very little, just took in the moment. "Hey Jude" left and right. Old men in the stands crying while singing it. That was about as beautiful as it got. John, I don't know if you caught any of the game, but what did you think about that?
No, it was nuts. I was definitely I was at work, so it was definitely I had it on the TV, but it was muted, so I didn't get to experience the "Hey Jude" till after the fact. which was amazing. And that's honestly one of the reasons that kind of got me into soccer, like Jeff was talking about, was just the passion and stuff. And that's like, that is pure passion. You see that right there. Like those old men that's been there for 50, 60 years, going season ticket holders, seeing them going from League 2 to League 1 to the championship to up. Like, and it's just cool how they build their team too. Like, if you go on YouTube, you can look, and Brentford's almost like a Moneyball type team where they use statistics to get lower like budget players that fit a mold that they want to have, and they have a good structure to a club, and that's what brought them up to the top flight. And I think it's just a good showing. It was definitely a good table setter for the rest of the weekend, I feel like, just because it kind of showed, hey, this is what the Premier League is with fans. Like last year, that's what I agree too, Jeff. I'm glad you're coming in this year, because last year it wasn't the same. Like there wasn't a fans. It was the fake crowd noise. Like football is nothing with the fans, as Matt Busby would say. And it really is true. Like, and I think that, again, that Brentford crowd just brought it. Like first time in that new stadium since they just made it. They were in there last year, so it's their first time with fans, and it being their first Premier League game, and then the win on top of that. Like it was crazy. Like, and again, it was one of my bets, was the Arsenal minus 120. I will say that episode is timestamped. I did put that bet in before we knew about the Aubameyang and Lacazette news. So, and that's just one of the things we're going to bring up too. In betting, sometimes it pays to wait till the lineups come out so you can know. Sometimes you're going to get worse odds because, say, a Harry Kane isn't in the squad for Tottenham that you might think was going to be in there. So it's just one of the things where it's just another thing you got to weigh, because you guys know we do bring gambling into this podcast a lot. So that's just something you got to weigh. I took it early thinking I was going to get I got good numbers at minus 120. Turned out I could have got a plus money when there was no one there, and I would have lost anyway.
Yeah, and it's funny because literally on that pod, I said, even though I love underdog money on home teams, I'm still taking Arsenal. And that literally bit me in the ass. Like, kind of went against my convictions that I have.
The underdogs gotcha.
I have that in almost all sports, especially American football and football. So it's kind of funny that we almost accidentally predicted the future, just not in our favor.
Exactly.
With common theme. But that game was something else, man. And you see it everywhere. I actually found a cool Twitter account where they were just kind of, the banter was going after that win, because their rivals Fulham and QPR were kind of chirping them, and they're like, look what the F we just did. Great Twitter account, USA fan club for Brentford, which honestly, besides reading their name, I did not know very much about overall. Like I knew no history about Brentford FC, not much about them at all. And they were right there in the chirps. And then even cooler, we find out later on, John, is they're actually local to us. They're right here in the DMV area on the Virginia side of DC. But they just bring that passion, and you just saw that right away. So it can be found anywhere. Soccer is a worldwide game, and you see it. It's not just Man United that have fans worldwide, not just City that has recent fans worldwide. You have supporting clubs like that in America already for that level of team, new to the Prem, 74 years since top flight English football.
And shout out to I'm sorry, Big JB. Shout out to NBC Sports for like doing the like my League, what's that, my PL morning or my Premier League morning, like, and they're they're showing people from the States.
From like South Dakota, yeah, Brentford, South Dakota,
it's. I mean, that was great. It kind of brought it home. And it kind of, I mean, I kept trying to remember, like, oh, these guys are American. I mean, they're talking to me. They're not broadcasting in Europe. So it was great.
And I think because of that account is where I saw this fan club account on Twitter at USA Bias, BIAS, USA Bias. So I'm sure we'll love following them during the men's and women's international competitions as well. But good solid follow for Brentford if you're new to them and were enthralled with what they had going on Friday. They'll bring that American perspective for that club as well. So definitely congrats to them, and congrats to all Brentford supporters. That was massive, and
hell of a win.
As good as the game gets right there. That was awesome.
And I want to segue a little bit with that too. Like, so I looked into Brentford, and it was. I'm telling you, man, +1 in Jeff's journey.
Heartstrings.
I don't know, man. I mean, I couldn't write this. Like, we didn't produce this. This is just kind of how it happened, you know. And the fact that there's a home base not too far from here, it speaks volumes. You
And
know,
what's cool too is one thing that I thought was cool as well, and we had just had our all three of us are in this fantasy soccer league with some of our other friends, and the only person that got mentioned from Brentford was their forward. And
Ivan Toney. Yep.
what I really like about him is how I've always kind of thought about you, Jeff, when we used to all play American football together. He just looks like that chiseled freak athlete.
yeah.
Like, and this is just his chosen sport to dominate. Where I know you are a multi-sport athlete as well. So I was like, man, there's some assimilations right there already, along with how romantic this opening match is for Jeff watching as well.
Yeah, and that's
I
what
mean,
I.
and yeah, even and then they beat up Arsenal, man. It was great. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it was good. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Jeff.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say another like dumb connection too, which is something I think honestly I really like about the footy world too. I have a little slight connection with Brentford just because last year's FIFA in FIFA 20 I started a little career mode. I did a United career, then I become the best in the world, getting all the best players I want. That gets boring. I'm okay. I'm good to beat up on legendary players with my team all the time. But then I always do a second career where I bring a team up from the championship. And I started with Brentford. They had Ollie Watkins was still there from Aston Villa. Ben Rama, who scored today from West Ham, was on Brentford. Brian Mbumo, the guy that had a couple good chances this game. And so I have a little bit. I like Rico Henry too. Their left back's really good. So I have a little bit of connection to Brentford. Again, I didn't put my money there. Probably should have, since use your heart, not your head. But no, I think it was really good, and something I know we've been talking about Brentford a lot. But the Gunners, man, I know they didn't have Lacazette and Aubameyang, but they just didn't look good, and they're not. It's not getting any easier. Like, they went against a newly promoted squad. Then next, they got the champions of Europe in Chelsea. Then they have the champions of Premier League in Man City after that. And I think they have either a week or 2 weeks, and they got Tottenham, who look good again. We'll touch on that later today. But it's not going to get any easier for Arteta. So I mean, it just seems like he's not really on the hot seat. He's sitting on the grill, not on the seat right now. So
Yeah, I think he's on the outs. I mean, they after that initial attack where it looked like Brentford was almost about to say, "We made the Prem. This is it. We've already hit our finish line." They dug their cleats in and said, "Let's get a response." And then they actually put, like, it was outside of the bar, but 10 minutes in, like 5 minutes after that initial pressure from Arsenal, they put one on the outside bar of the woodwork. Never was close to going in, but just hitting the bar like adds that, oh, that was actually close, when maybe it
they're like,
really
"Hey,
wasn't.
we're here."
But
Yeah,
that gave them their energy, because the one thing on that shot that maybe really wasn't all that close, they drove play, they got into a scoring position. It was just a little bit off. They were a foot away.
and then set pieces too. I mean,
Yeah.
set pieces. That's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is smaller teams like are gonna. That's where the bigger teams are going to be successful, or you know what I'm trying to say.
Acceptable.
Yeah, susceptible to attacks, and the goals is from those set pieces, because they know, hey, it's a dead ball. We can score from this. We're not going to have to try out athletic you, out player you. It can just be, hey, this is me jumping higher than you. Cool. I don't have to do all this other stuff. And that's where you're going to see a lot.
Win in those 10 seconds.
Exactly. Those little moments are what makes the difference. But Brentford, like we said, they just didn't sit back. Really, Arsenal's really only good chances was like Smith Rowe had a good chance, like middle of the second half, I believe. But Pepe had a chance late that hit the outside of the post, or was saved. Oh no, it was saved. It was saved by Raya, to his left, or his right, Pepe's left. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal didn't really show anything. Again, yes, they didn't have their two best players, arguably, but you got to show us something. You're Arsenal. You're supposed to be one of these top 6 clubs. Like, you're looking like a mid-table team already 90 minutes into the game, or into the season. And the fans, we already know how Arsenal fans can be. Like, we have Troops Za that we follow from Barstool. They don't play. They're Arteta out already.
And that's a match. That's a match they should have won. That's
Exactly.
That's a match they should have won.
On paper, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 3 points that they don't get back. Like, that could hurt them. Like, we don't know. Obviously, we don't think Arsenal's going to be up there, but that could hurt them getting into those Europa League spots.
Not starting out like that. No.
Exactly.
So I mean, is it more of a how good Brentford is, or how or how bad Arsenal is? What is it?
Well,
I think. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, they were in the mix to win the second tier last year, so they have a pedigree. They obviously don't have the talent, and they did sell some of those players off that John mentioned went elsewhere. So I think it's just more this mentality, this pedigree. And once they got over that initial shock, I thought they held their own. Don't get me wrong, but I think this was just a poop job by Arsenal as well. I mean, when your best player is who John just said, in my opinion, was Smith Rowe, and nobody else was getting it done. Smith Rowe is good. He'd play on any team in the EPL. Some teams he wouldn't be a starter with, but he'd get minutes with anybody.
Yeah.
But when he's your best player, you're going to struggle even against the Brentfords of the world.
And I don't know, maybe Brentford was just hyped because I mean I remember they let that second goal, they let in that long throw in, right? It just, I mean, nobody did
Yeah.
anything. He just, I mean, what are we doing? Who's like,
Yeah,
you know?
and it was even one of those where if Norgard didn't score, it looked like I don't know, I can't remember who he LeBroned or mossed over top of his own
Yeah.
player. They had two players, literally, they were guarding each other and both could have scored the goal. Like,
And that's
Arsenal
on the
was nowhere to be
manager.
found. Yeah.
A
Like,
long throw in like that is on
Yeah.
the manager. That's not on the player. So that's why you're already pissed off after the first half. And then that's the kind of goal you let Brentford
Yeah.
scored. That's why those fans didn't take it easy. I even retweeted one of the Arsenal posts at half where I was like, I'm sure these responses are very reasonable and measured, and they weren't. Narrator, they were not.
yeah. But yeah, no, there's definitely, I think it was good, like we said, a good table setter for the weekend. Definitely something to get the old toes wet jumping into the Premier League season. And I think it was definitely a good start. We'll get to the morning match on Saturday a little bit later. That's our big match of the week that went down. So let's talk about a little about Burnley and Brighton. JB, I know you were favoring on Brighton on this one. You got them at a little plus money. Yeah, it was crazy there. My boy Tarkovsky from on my fantasy team almost put in 2, but put in that 1 in 2 minutes, and then Brighton came back within. How you feel about that Brighton? I know you were talking about them earlier. The high XG team, you can see they definitely have the movement up top.
Yeah, I thought Burnley was going to fall off after how they were pretty decent last year. They had their ups and downs as well. One of those like talented middling teams. But Brighton, along with Aston Villa, is who kind of are like dark horses that I'm excited to bet on at good odds, who I'm excited to watch because they can get out and pace the play very well. And I thought they played decent, but they just started too slow. I mean, Burnley scored 3 minutes in, and then it was a grind. And this is why I was actually kind of impressed to see. I think of Brighton getting out with some athletes. They've got some horses that can push the play. They grinded their way through to those 2 goals to win this match.
Yeah, they got
and that sums it up for me. Like literally, they just found a way to grind. Who against last year, I think Burnley holds that lead because I thought Burnley was a little bit better last year, and Brighton about par for the course. But this year they were able to get it done. So encouraging sign to see. You hate to see them give up that early goal, but like I said, after that, it really was them with the analytics that expected goals. I think they were still fell short of what they were expecting as far as the fancy stats go, but no, good solid win.
Yeah, exactly. Neil Maupay got one too, and he's one of those kind of up there dark horse for the Golden Boot. So I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on too. He got one in 73rd minute. He got that equalizer. So definitely. And this was one of the odd ones where it was the home team not coming away with victory. It was, what did we say, Jeff? They were 7-3 home teams this week.
Yep,
I believe so. Yeah. So this was one of those where we saw where maybe the fans being back do make a difference. Obviously, Brentford, it seemed like it made a difference. This game, it wasn't so much. And Burnley Turf Moor is one of those harder places to play. It's one of those, could Messi do it at Turf Moor on a cold, rainy Wednesday night type of things, which maybe we'll see one day, but obviously he's in Paris right now. So I think that goes to our next match. Jeff, you got the USA kit on. Our boy Pooley got the goal for Chelsea. It was really good match. He was one of the 2 American standouts that scored this weekend. We'll get to the next one later on in the match. He got the second one. Alonso got that first one. What did you think of that Chelsea match? Seeing one of the big teams kind of do what big teams are supposed to do. For me, I like I said, I think Crystal Palace is one of those it's going to go down. So this was a match that obviously it should have went the way it went, I think. Unfortunately, they couldn't have had 3 more corners, so your boy could have made $100 off a $5 parlay. Or $10 parlay, excuse me. Thank you, FanDuel, for the risk-free bet, by the way. But no, Jeff, what did you think? Seeing your first taste since Arsenal didn't give you what a big team was supposed to do. Well, I guess there was one in the morning from a big team supposed to do, but we didn't think it was going to be that much of a blowout. But what did you think from Chelsea against Palace in this one?
First off, man, I think Chelsea gets my kid of the week. I mean, it was they were nice, man. There was some honorable mentions, but they looked great out there. It was a great matchup. I definitely, the few people I have heard of outside of the English Premier League, like I've heard of Chelsea, right? So I came in expecting someone to come in and dominate, and they did that. The defenders, I believe, who was it? The Chabola was this his first goal? Yeah, Chalaba. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I said it.
Trevor. His name's Trevor. So his name is literally spelled Trevoh. So it's like built in for you to say it like British.
Trevor.
It's Trevor. It's Trevor Chabala.
Chabala. That's cool. Yeah, and this is his first goal for Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
And in his Premier League debut, right? He debuted.
I believe so. He might have had a couple like minutes here and there, but this is his first proper start.
The first
Premier League start.
And, a lot of emotions out there. It was great. It was great. I enjoyed seeing a real team go out there and do what they executed, like were supposed to do, and it was great. Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah, I think that's going to be that Shabala goal is probably one of my nominees for goals of the week too. We'll see what we think. Maybe we'll put out a little poll on Twitter tomorrow when the pod releases. See what you guys think for goal of the week. We got a couple candidates. We'll for sure bring up. Jay, what were you going to say, though, Jips?
I just think that was tactful from Chelsea. That's exactly why Tuchel is their manager, and that's what we're going to see. Now, it makes me a little nervous because if they were getting some of those goals and now adding Rom into the equation, maybe my prediction is a little off from last week on how I think they'd run, because they got out and ran more than I thought they would. They're not going to be defend you to death, get it to Rom. It looked like they had a little bit more in their pocket.
A little fluidity.
Respect to Tuchel for that. Maybe I didn't give him enough credit because he came in mid-season last year. And he wasn't there the whole year. He didn't have a training camp, things like that. This year he did. So respect to them. And I thought it was master plan because at minimum, Crystal Palace still has athletes themselves. So he really did a good job there.
Yeah, no, and I think, too, we'll see. I know Arsenal didn't show us, but hopefully we'll see Aubameyang, Lacazette back next week in that North London derby against Chelsea. I think it's obviously a big test for Arsenal, but I think it's a solid litmus test for Chelsea too to see if they're actually if it was just because Palace is poop or if they're actually the defending English or the European champs and can continue that run of success. Mm-hmm. Next, we'll go to Merseyside. We had Everton 3, Southampton 1. Little comeback victory for the Toffees in this one. Richarlison, you might have known from the Olympics. I believe was one that got the second goal, the one that put them in front.
Brazilian, right?
Yeah, blonde hair. Oh, yeah, no, he got the equalizer. Excuse me, he got the equalizer. That the Corey, nice fancy footwork at the top of the box where the slow old man at the wreck spin move.
Yeah.
Like one of them was like, damn, how's this man getting to the paint like this? He's doing these spin moves, can't even see, but it was definitely an upper Ben's blast. Like he definitely put that upper 90s. So it was good. And then, of course, what's an Everton game without DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin not getting one. He got that late diving header where he went face first into the goalie as well after fact. So
a beautiful one, too. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, no, it was definitely well worked.
About 4 out, I believe it was. It was nice.
It was right inside the 6. Something, too, we brought up. I know, JB, you're not a big fan of Rafa, but it is definitely an interesting point seeing him at Goodison when he was just a mile down the road at Anfield. Sorry, I almost dropped my beer. At Anfield years back, was just something interesting too. Like so, for all our American fans, Jibs, you want to let them know if they're not, maybe they're familiar with like Tobacco Road with our Duke Carolina, but maybe let them know how that Everton Liverpool, how it's almost set up in the city of Liverpool in our Merseyside.
Yeah, less than a mile apart. The Merseyside Derby. Have to say it with the accent there. Derby.
Yeah. Derby.
Darby.
But it, like you said it, that's UNC Duke basketball of England, or UNC Duke is basketball of what this rivalry
Yeah.
is. To give respect to our
And we
friends
all have
across the
our opinions
pond.
about Carolina
Yeah,
and Duke.
we all do. I'll be the middleman there typically, but I'll
We
lean
already
to
saw that ugly
I'll
hoodie
lean
that
a little
last
bit
week.
lighter most of the time. But no, it's intense. And even when they hired Rafa, when the rumors started coming out, it was a long hiring process from what I recall. And there was like a month long of like, is Rafa really going to go to Everton? You know,
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't that long, but just in a slow sports summer, it was only like 2 weeks. But apparently his family, they never sold their Merseyside home. They've had that always able to go back to when he's got business back in London. So he didn't even have to move. He was probably living between the two stadiums anyway. So
He
pretty
probably just
cool.
evicted somebody.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's a business, right? I mean, those
yeah,
guys are
Yeah.
professional. It's a business. I mean, if it's anything like the NFL or NBA, those guys go. I mean, look at Kevin Durant getting knocked around by the Golden State, and he went there the next year and won.
yep.
Like you know what I
Exactly.
mean? It was and that was they at the time they had a heated rivalry.
Mhm.
It was a lot of bad blood between, or it was just like a good rivalry there. But those guys are professionals, right? So I mean, if he's the best one available for the job, of course they should pick him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think too, it was really great to see the Everton supporters get behind him too. He mentioned that in his
Mhm.
post game, how he just said he felt like it was one like the as we call them the talking heads were trying to get to him, where he's like, "Hey, how do you think? You're from Liverpool," and he just kind of brushed it aside, and said, "Hey, it's about the fans and the team today,"
Mhm.
and it was just cool to see. But definitely something to bring up. Second one ever. Last one was in the late 1800s. We all remember that guy, Mr. Barclays. We were all there watching him perform back in the day at Anfield and Goodison Park. So yeah,
real,
that's on. Go
so
ahead.
real,
My fault,
real
Chips.
quick on that. With how they had the comeback, and it seemed like the team was behind Rafa. Do
Mm-hmm.
you think they could win the Merseyside Derby this year?
I think it just depends. Like obviously Liverpool did look good today. I know it was against Norwich, but like we said, it seems like Everton. I was actually hearing on I think I was listening to Talksport or something today or yesterday, and they were talking about how Everton they really didn't do that well during COVID. Like their finances are kind of fucked.
Mhm.
And that's why we were talking about like you didn't see James today, because he's probably going to be one of the first ones out. He's a big time player. Ancelotti loves him, so of course he'll probably go back to Madrid.
Yeah.
Ancelotti's brought him everywhere, it seems like.
Yeah, and
So hopefully,
Rodriguez is pissed to play for not Ancelotti and Rafa.
exactly. And then so let's just hope that Everton can keep it going. Don't have to sell too many players. They do got Keane. They got Richarlison, as we talked about. Seamus Coleman's older, so they definitely need. They got Digne in there as well. So let's just hope Everton can keep pushing. Everton is one of those kind of darling teams that everybody kind of likes to root for. One of those out of the top six, but still a good team. Unless you're a Scouser, that they don't mind seeing perform well, unless it's against your team, obviously.
Yeah, and I know he gets a lot of crap himself, but a solid enough keeper.
Yeah, not bad. We'll see. I don't know. Pickford, I told you that 4-0 against that friendly. He looked he had cement blocks on his feet. He looks like Tony Soprano was coming after him.
He's still in the upper half of keepers in the EPL, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he is England's number one. It just seems like for some reason, maybe they shouldn't have lost the award 1776, but we can make keepers, England can't. So like it just doesn't make sense. But so like cool. Let's move on to Leicester Wolves. The Foxes came out on this one. Vardy having a party, got the first half goal right before halftime. Definitely helped us. We had a same game parlay going, which unfortunately didn't hit. The 2.5 over didn't work. But Jamie Vardy definitely did look good. Jibs, I know you said this was one of your goals of the week nominees you were thinking about. And honestly, like you said, he should have had a hat trick. I know you were talking pre-show about that. So if you want to touch on that.
In the first half, he should have had a hat trick. He almost could have had 4, maybe 5 overall. I mean, 2 minutes before his goal, he tried some cheeky back heel chip to go upper 90 left corner that just didn't quite work out. Like he was on one, he was feeling it, and you really thought that they were going to come through and just make it not a game in the second half if he kept that up. honestly, if the number 9 behind him was playing a little bit more solid, there was a couple 2-on-1s they had where he just didn't make a simple low cross over
Yeah.
to Vardy.
Ian Nacho,
Yeah,
ex-City Academy lad.
and Ian Nacho had a good game. Don't get me wrong, but a little bit more support for Jamie up top, and he's picking up assists like our game of the week 2 combo did. So yeah, it was Jamie ran the show. They locked it down defensively like Leicester will. They'll be responsible, and their counter attack still looks good. How can you hate
Yeah.
Jamie Vardy? Was my tweet this week. You just can't.
Yeah.
He wins hearts, and that team won the league a couple of years ago, and they're holding their position this week.
And he's just so passionate. You can just see it that he
Yeah.
loves Leicester. He loves playing for that team, and he loves scoring goals. I mean,
Well,
that's what Jamie
hasn't
Vardy
he
does.
literally played for all of the top 15 tiers in English football or something like
Something like that. I think he
crazy
might have started. Yeah, he might have started like
Granted,
sixth or
Leicester
fifth, but yeah.
Leicester would have been 3 or 4 of those tiers themselves, I think.
Yeah.
But
And
so it's easy, but it's just nuts.
and it was a great game, and it was one of the first games I watched. And first off, shout out to Vardy. First off, he's on my FPL league, FPL team. He's on my FPL team. When I selected him, and people were like, Vardy, who's that? The old guy? Who's that?
Yeah.
Vardy's 34 years old. We're the same age. We're the same age. He looks good. He looked good, man, and I don't know. He looked arguably the most athletic person. I mean, he was everywhere. And so shout out to Vardy. It was. I mean, I know we didn't. This is before I started getting on the SGPs, but it was a great game. It was good. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely. And what you saw too in that is just like the differences, the two ends of the spectrum when it comes to finishing. Like Adama Traore, honestly, Wolves did have their chances. His expected goals alone, I think, were like 1.6. He had a fast break where Adama Traore on a fast break is Usain Bolt on a fast break, essentially. And that's how he played. He played like Usain Bolt. He could run past everybody, but he couldn't finish.
He looks like me playing soccer. He looks like a
player.
football player.
Yeah.
That's what. And I was like, man, that dude's big as hell out there.
He got that medium ass shirt on.
He has the weird. Yeah, he had the weird. He had like a rugby jersey on. That's what it looked like.
Exactly.
He claims he doesn't lift.
Hey, he know where he got that shirt shirt from, and the damn shirt wasn't in his department.
Unity.
But he blew. He had a fast break. He blew it. He just whiffed.
And then he had a chance in the second half to bring it level too, and just didn't. Hey, that's what. I mean, if you've watched Wolves in the years past, that's what Adama brings. He's electric and he's pacing. He scares the shit out of you if you're going against him. But hey, let him get in front of goal. It's okay. It's like Sterling at Old Trafford. It's just not going to go in.
Yeah, man.
So, but that's just the difference you see.
Points on the ground. Yeah, just let the points.
Yeah, exactly. And you see Vardy, somebody that's an experienced finisher like that. He had a very slight chance, put it in. That shouldn't have went in. XG on that was probably 0.28 or something. You know what I mean? That definitely probably shouldn't have gone in. He made it work. And Traore has a fucking chance sitting right on the silver platter. Can't put it in. So almost a little bit like some Tottenham game that we saw a little bit later too. A couple people missing just easy chances.
Well, shout out to the opportunities were there, right? So so with the positives, right? The opportunities were there. It's got to finish. Vardy was great, but I guess there was points left on both sides. Both sides left some points out.
Yeah, there was definitely a very cagey affair.
Yeah. So great match.
That and I think the City Spurs match were two of our more tighter matches where you saw that those were obviously those were the lowest scoring matches of the weekend. So so that was definitely one of the cagey affairs of the weekend. But like you said, I think both of them did have good chances. Just got to finish. That's it. You're paid to put the old onion, the ball in the old onion bag. Make it happen. Put the biscuit in the basket, as our friend Chuck would say.
Exciting to watch, though. It was exciting to watch.
No, definitely. It wasn't very effective.
One of the games that was exciting to watch for the first week. My first full week. Definitely exciting to watch.
Cool. Then we had one of our dark horse choices going down. It was Watford 3, Aston Villa 2. Watford just came out firing. Came up. Aston Villa tried to come back. They got the late penalty. Again with a pretty good goal mid through. But Jeff, I know you watched a little bit of his Watford game. You were watching when that Chucho goal went in to make it, I believe 3-0, maybe 3-1. What did you think about this game?
It was great. I mean, yeah, because they got out to Wofford got out to a quick start, right? I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
yeah, and Austin Villa tried to come back, and I had Ings is also on my FPL, and
You got that late pin.
man came through clutch, but yeah, just it seems like just too little, too late,
Yeah,
right?
it was actually, and it
You
was
know,
3-0. Yeah, they scored in the
Mhm.
first 10 minutes. So you're right, Jeff. They did score early. That Chucho goal came late. It was the 67th, and at that point, honestly, it felt like game over. Aston Villa did make a little game of it,
yeah, yeah.
coming in deep. Jay, what do you think? Do you think this is a sign that to worry about Aston Villa, or do you think this was just a little premonition and they're just getting their feet under there, not having old Jackie Cavs
Yeah,
to be there?
I think it's fine. Watford's got some athletes. They've got some horses as well. They're another one of those, Crystal Palace-esque where they got some guys who can get out and run, play the game. They've got some finishers apparently though. And you know, with the Euros, Grealish didn't get sold very early. So while from the prediction show, I like how they replaced him, it was a quick summer, short training camp. They just need time to mesh. And, with 2 goals in the second half there, or in the last 20 something minutes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that starts that process. I didn't look at their schedule upcoming, but definitely looking for them to be a little bit tighter. Get that they just need a little bit of time. If they haven't fixed it by say Halloween, yeah, then there's cause for concern. But I still think Spurs changed it. Instead of shooting for 6, maybe Aston Villa is about that 7th, 8th team. Still in that realm
Yeah.
of 70 that we talked about.
And
Again,
maybe Austin Villa should come out a bit more aggressive,
mhm.
and see, and maybe that could, I don't know. You
Especially
got
against
to
a team.
it's easier to get out to a quick lead and lose it, or it's harder to get out to a quick lead and lose it than it is to come back from behind like that.
Yeah,
You
throw
know,
Yeah.
caution to the wind earlier.
yeah,
100%.
yeah,
And they do have JB to your earlier point. They do have Newcastle next week, so maybe next week
Um,
can be that bounce back that they need, hitting someone that should be lower than them in the table
mhm.
again. And maybe it was another thing. I know Norwich didn't go to hit the 3 for 3 on the promoted team, so maybe it just was that little shot in the ass of getting newly promoted to the Prem that maybe like push Wofford to a little bit next level to
Mhm.
go on and win that match.
Yeah. No, and
Um,
that's all there is to say about that one, really.
Yeah, no, 100%. We talked about a little bit earlier about Merseyside, Liverpool. This one was actually in Norwich, though. It wasn't an away game. This was one of those where the home team didn't come away with the victory, but it was by all means highly expected. One of the, for sure, in everyone's mind, top 4 teams in the league going against what a lot of people think is going to be a relegation team this year. It just seemed like Norwich didn't have it. And obviously Liverpool looked like Liverpool. Like they
Yeah.
looked like Liverpool of old, not like last season when they were kind of disjointed with a whole bunch of like little knick-knack injuries and little knocks here and there. And honestly, you guys made a little bit of money too.
Yeah, we hit a nice same game parlay on that one. It's funny enough, the guys we were debating, of course, we settled on Mo Salah's goal scorer, but my guy who I have on my FPL team, Bobby Firmino, Bobby
Old,
Big Chompers,
yeah, old Bobby
uh,
Brightmouth.
Bobby Brightmouth, as John says. He came through, nice goal, really classy. Besides their individual players, hopefully I don't say it too much, but that's what this game was for Liverpool. Classy, unfortunately, from a fanhood perspective. Um, and I don't think it was Norwich playing that bad. I do think they are going to get relegated, them, Southampton, and another team. Um, it was Liverpool playing this well. This is them. Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah, both healthy and just kind of running wild. And their third mate there didn't really show too much in there up front, but it was a good performance overall.
No, and I think too that's why I think Klopp subbed out Jota and brought in Firmino, because you saw it almost kind of reinvigorated the team that had the same front three that they're used to with that Salah, Mane, and Firmino. And it just shows, like, as much as I hate to say it, like Jurgen Klopp is a really good coach, a good manager. I know Jeff thinks he's a decent manager. He's just so Jeff, Jeff, yeah. What's your reference? What's your Klopp? What do you think about Jurgen Klopp?
Are you talking about Sir Davos? Sir Davos Seaworth? Sir Davos, he's the Westeros Sir Davos Seaworth. He looks just like that guy. But you know what? This match, a few things. So that place was rocking, man. Like I mean, and I guess there's a couple layers to it because Liverpool looks strong. Like I mean, I watched and we made a little bit of money, so we watched this match, in some depth. And one thing about Norwich crowd, they stayed behind those guys. I mean, they didn't die out at all. And Liverpool looks strong. Mo Salah, he's also on my fantasy. He's also on my FPL. Yeah, I mean that guy. He I don't know. He looks good. I mean he was getting shots and he missed a few of them. Like he had a lot of opportunities.
Had an assist too, I believe. I think he had Bobby Brightmouth. He had the assist on that one.
And then Hoda took the first goal. And whenever if he's getting into the mix, if he's scoring too, man, I mean if he can make that a consistent thing, Liverpool's man.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too. You'll see. So from a betting aspect too, this is why I'm a little upset I missed out on this bet. I had some stuff going on, so I couldn't throw the bet in. But when you see like a Liverpool against a Norwich, a Liverpool against Leeds, a game we're going to talk about next, our game of the week, United against Leeds, those are the ones you're going to want to go for those overs because Leeds and Norwich aren't going to sit back. They're not scared. They're going to play their game regardless of who they're playing. They're going to play open, and that's why you're going to see, even if they're down 5-1, they're still pushing for goals. Even at 3-0, at the end, that almost ruined your guys' same game parlay because you had the -2 spread on Liverpool when they almost scored in the very end. Scored. Really. Allison was definitely trying to keep that clean sheet.
Three-foot sitters, and they missed them all.
That was one of the better experiences of the weekend because man, I'm in here like me and Jibs were texting or in the group chat and we were like my heart stop was clinically dead for 4 seconds because I mean man it was just like how about the goalkeeping? Jeez, I mean like almighty man. So great, that was one of the best experiences with the betting because man, I was invested. And this ain't my first rodeo, right? I've done fantasy football before, so I know what it is. But it wasn't like that. I mean,
he's my keeper in fantasy, so I was definitely like, keep it, just
keep it clean. The clean sheets, man. Clean sheets, yeah.
And there wasn't a ton of clean sheets this weekend. I think only 3, and 2 of them were 1-0 matches. So
exactly.
Or no, 4 because we forgot Arsenal, about I was thinking exactly game 1.
Oh, see, I was thinking of game 1, not the last game of the week.
Yeah, but no, it was exciting for sure, and I can't wait to watch Norwich Leeds. There might be about 9 goals in that game.
Oh yeah, that is definitely taking the over. Like there is no doubt I'm taking the over in that. All right, so cool. That brings us to our game of the weekend, which happened to be our first game on Saturday. And just so happens to be our team that we're fans of. But we do think this was probably the most exciting game of the weekend. We were hoping that the Saturday game would be or the Sunday late game would be good, but it definitely was. United 5, Leeds 1. Our game of the week to end our Saturday recap. Just a great game. Pogba 4 assists, Bruno Hattie.
Man.
Up and down the action. It started a little slow. First goal didn't come till half an hour into the game. But boy, was it a goal. McTominay to Pogba to Bruno. Just get used to hearing us saying during this review that you're going to hear Pogba to Bruno. Like it was awesome. Well, Pogba to anybody. He had two assists to Bruno, 1 to Fred, 1 to Greenwood, and every single one of them was picturesque. This is why Pogba is who he is. His skills are there. Jibs, what do you think about from a Leeds perspective? How do you think they looked going against us at Old Trafford?
So I initially was thinking watching the match, like, okay, Leeds, this is a rivalry of age game. They're stepping up to play. But looking back on it, thinking about it, rewatching a little bit of the match from different vantage points, I don't think it was that. I don't think they played well at all. I think if
Mhm.
anything, the first 30 minutes, United was just respecting that possibility and just not letting it be a thing. Um, I think they had maybe one or two dangerous chances, and if it was only one, it came in that first 30 minutes when we were kind of being respectful. But then when
Yeah.
we were able to kind of hop up off our asses and get going and saying, nope, stops here. And Pogba just decided, I'm the maestro today. I'm composing this shit.
I am the maestro now.
Yeah. He just took over, and Bruno's the finisher of finishers. He's the best in the league at it, our play of the year candidate. And maybe we should have thrown some respect his way for the golden boot from the
Yeah.
midfield.
Exactly. Looking like Steven Gerrard out there, Frank Lampard getting them goals from midfield.
Everything will look good. And I think we've always had qualms and want better than McFred, but you can't ask for more out of those two. And then I loved Mason as the true up top, take the ball, make plays, be the striker. That goal was great touch, great finesse. Just
and Ollie even said,
United fan.
Yeah, Ollie even said he's probably the best finisher at the club when it just comes to pure putting the ball in the back of the net. And you saw it. It was a tough angle. Thank God he didn't send it over to James, because I love James, but he probably would have missed it. But it was just, again, like you said, Pogba just pulling the strings. And, I mean, when Fred has more goals than Manchester City, it's not a bad weekend at all. So,
yeah.
Jeff, how about you, Jeff, coming in your first true United watch? It was your Saturday morning wake up, your hashtag My Premier League morning. How'd it feel waking up, getting your first dose of morning Saturday soccer? And it was a great game that went on as well.
You know who's leading the race for my favorite player in the EPL? His name is Paul Pogba.
I'll take it.
He was the most impressive. His assist. I've never watched a soccer match where the person assisting was the most impressive person on the pitch. I was floored. I just thought that I don't think any of that happens without him. And and it was impressive to watch. Like it was, yeah. He's probably one of the best soccer passers on this planet, arguably the universe. We don't even know if there's any life. So as far as we know, he is the best soccer ball passer in the universe. And it was and nobody would argue with you if you looked at these passes. I mean the pace, the placement, the foresight. He's living in 2040. I feel like he's living in 2040. He was putting the ball play. I think he was putting the ball places before the receiver even knew where he was supposed to be, where he was going to be going with it. The chemistry between him and Bruno, man. I don't know much. Have they been playing together long?
No, a year.
Man.
Bruno came to us January last year.
They like they've been here before. Like if that's any indication, if they can get that type of chemistry and two or three more people, like interactions between other people, man, they're gonna be hard to stop.
Well, and that's something to even bring up too, is like Marcus Rashford's out till probably September, October. So that's another world-class, on the verge of world-class type player that you didn't see on the pitch today. Jadon Sancho played 22 minutes?
Yeah, got his feet wet.
And
exactly.
And on the other side, Leeds, you got to do something different. It may be Pogba, he may be that good. He is. I don't think they were out of position. He was just putting the ball where nobody was. He was Aaron Rodgers in it. Like, he was it was Aaron. He was out there putting it where nobody else can get it. And it was just. It was poetry in motion, man. It was just it's what you wanted to see.
And I will say one thing in defense. My fault, Jeff. One thing in defense, they didn't have Calvin Phillips for Leeds. Bielsa just didn't think he was ready enough. He wasn't game ready coming off that England finals appearance at the Euro. So that was there is in England one of the starting defensive mids from England is their starting defensive mid. So that could have had something into it where he would be the one either pressing up against Bruno or pressing up against Pogba. So he didn't have that freedom. So that could be a little bit of the thing, because he was playing that kind of almost like our Fred role, where he's the one that goes
Yeah.
around and stops everything. And
Yeah.
then he had Declan Rice behind him at the Euros to sit and cover while he went and pressed on whichever midfielder was getting that ball. So a little bit of defense to him, but regardless, Calvin Phillips isn't prime Gattuso. He's not stopping that kind of
We
part.
beat him
Fred-
6-1
and-
when he was there last year.
And
Exactly.
And Fred's a defender, right? Fred's a defender.
No, he's a
Defensive
midfielder.
mid.
Defensive
Yeah,
man. Okay. Well, shout out to defender. If I felt like when well, listen, I love the defender's mentality. It's kind of in my built into my psyche. So when I did play soccer in middle school, God bless my soul. I was a defender. Not much. I've never been much of a ball kicker. Pause or or so I love the reaction. I love the defensive mentality of reacting. And so if Fred's getting in the mix, great. I love to see defensive guys get some buckets, man. It's always a good thing. And on the other side, Leeds, right? So the alien goal, right? And
He's a fullback. Yeah,
okay.
he's a fullback.
And I mean that was beautiful. That's my nominee for goal of the week.
Yeah, that one was
I mean it came in at 49, but whew, and that's what it's going to. In the end, Manchester and Man U's just too strong. If Leeds was going to score goals, it was going to have to be like that, and you're not getting many of those.
Yeah, and Rodrigo had the Brazilian Rodrigo had a couple good chances, but they were never really anything that really troubled the head that much at all. It just looked honestly like that defensive line looked good. That back four looked really good. Probably just going to get a little bit better. More on that later.
It's the great way for Man U to come out. I mean, if you want to come out, fantastic. You can't come out any better than that.
Yeah, and I think it gives us good pace. We have Southampton coming up next week, so we get a little start that we can kind of get our feet underneath us, bringing these new players, see how that goes. But that definitely was a good. Hey, wake up! It's Premier League. Like that was definitely good. We had the curtain riser from Brentford, then we had the old morning. We had the ham and eggs or the bacon and eggs from
man. And we was at it, man. It was 7:30, man. I was up. That's another thing. You know what I mean? Like, because it's part of this experiences. Man, it was all morning. Yeah, and it was great. I enjoyed it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and that's something cool. Sorry, Jibs, didn't mean to cut you off. Once college football and NFL football comes back too, that's another experience. As us as Americans, we're kind of blessed that you got the day off. Hey, you're good from 7:30 to about 8:00 at night. You're good. You got something. You got your college, you got your soccer, wake you up in the morning, get your pregame on. Then you go straight into your college football on Saturdays, straight into your NFL on Sundays. Yeah. This is an awesome time. And another good thing we like, soccer, it's an hour and it's going to be what? An hour and 45 minutes. You got 90 minutes for the match, 15 minutes halftime, and you know what you got. It's not going to be a 4-hour passing the ball, Packers versus Colts. Like, it's not. We're good. Like, so that's just something to think about too. Something good wake up in the morning, even if it's a Burnley Brighton. You saw that game was still exciting. Like, even if it's two teams that aren't maybe figureheads of the league, every game in the Premier League is going to be exciting. So that's something to look forward to. Jibs, what did you have though?
No, just a special shout out to Bruno for the Hattie. He has now been in his 52 Premier League games with United, let alone how he has done in Europe competitions. He has 48 goal creations, either assist or goal. Like, that's mind-boggling.
Insane.
I'll one up you, Jibs. Pogba is one of 7 in history to have 4 assists in a game, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And first Man United player at that.
Right.
Yep. And to piggyback on the Jibs' point, I think I heard he either scores or assists Bruno a goal every 91 minutes on average.
Yeah.
So pretty much a goal and assist per game. You can count on Bruno. And that's why our friend Jibs took him 1-1 in our FPL draft. Mm-hmm. I got fucked and got the 10th pick overall. But the chicken is in the basket.
play of the year incoming. Just barring injury. So, and that game was fun. And if you really, no knock on Mason, that was a fantastic game. But that's literally our top 3 didn't start. Yeah. Across the top, it's going to be Rashford, Cavani, Sancho. More often than not, Mason's going to have a ton of minutes, but our starting 3 more often than not will be Rashi, Cavani, Sancho, left to right, wreaking havoc.
I did notice too, they brought back Ollie's at the wheel and they replaced Sanchez with Sancho. which is pretty awesome to hear. And that is coming on. Jibs actually let me know this. That is coming on the FIFA 22 as one of the chants. You will get Ollie's at the wheel for United.
Just for that,
yeah, that was
that alone. We might have to give away a copy of the game.
Yeah, stay tuned. If we do, definitely, we were talking. We get to a subscriber count, a listen count. We'll definitely start giving away giveaways. So by all means, share the pod, share the YouTube, share the Twitter. We're going to be part of the fans. We want you guys to be part of the show. We'll have call-ins, stuff like that as well. So that's just something to keep in mind that we are going to do giveaways and stuff like that. We want to be part of this community and the community be part of us. So I think if you have anything else, guys, on that game of the week, United over Leeds, I think we'll go ahead and move on to Sunday. All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and get into Sunday then. We had another nice opener. I think this game, honestly, was the game of the day. Surprisingly, we definitely thought it was going to be that Spurs City match, which was definitely a cracker, but just not as interesting, I think, as this one. This one was a little bit more up and down. It saw Newcastle at home lose to West Ham 4-2 after going up 1-0 and then going back up again 2-1 before the end of the break. Just a good game. That first goal from Newcastle shows what they can do. You saw Alan St. Maximin with the assist. Kellen Wilson doing what he does. Kellen Wilson, when he was at Bournemouth, FPL wonder kid again, even though he's 78 years old. He was a good player that just gets goals. So that's another FPL place to look at, is Kellen Wilson is one of those diamond in the rough where even though he plays for Newcastle, he is going to get his goals because he's one of the main pipelines that is going to come through. Same with our boy Allen getting the assist too. What you felt about this one, Jeff? Little early wake up. Day 2. How'd the early wake up go for you on the second day of EPL?
It wasn't too bad. It was a little slow, but I got there. And what's the guy's name? Is Alan? I think he gets
St.
my
Maximin?
vote. Yeah, I think he gets my vote for coolest looking soccer
Oh,
player
yeah.
and the coolest name, because that St. Maximin is like it's cool, man. And it was a great game. Yeah, it was exciting. Got out fast, right? Within the
5
first
minutes in.
20
Yeah.
20 minutes in, you had 2 goals, and it was going to be a barn burner. And it seemed like West Ham at the end there. West Ham just came out in the second half and just dominated. And who I did notice I liked is Benarama.
Ex Brentford.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he was. I feel like he was out and about, and I did notice him out there watching the match.
Yeah, got that first goal for him too.
Yep. Yeah, I came out the second half, and yeah, it was nice to watch. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. Full respect to West Ham on the comeback. They kind of grinded through it too, to get a result. And I was impressed with their whole squad, but I thought, to me, my standout was Suchek. He kept driving the box, and he might be a low-key beast on crossing plays, set pieces all year for them. He could be another one of those sneaky guys that gets between a dozen to 17, 18 goals just from driving the box, driving play. I'm not sure too much on his minute utilization, but I'm definitely going to have my eye on him.
No, he definitely. Yeah. He definitely gets minutes for him. I think he's one of their first names on the team sheet. And he's the one that got that rebound from Mikel Antonio's missed penalty too, which was a slight penalty. It was kind of did he hit him? Did he not? But I think it was a good call for the pin. But yeah, Suchek got in there, got that rebound. They didn't clean out the trash. Goldberg, to bring in D3, you got to get rid of that trash, especially on a pin. The keeper made a great save, and his defense just let him down a little bit on the rebound. But no, I agree. I think him and Fornals teamed up really well. When the Fornals came on that wing, when I believe, which goal was that? That was I think it was the Antonio goal. The second one when they crossed it in, he got it late, and then it came back to him.
Yeah, he would have finished. Yeah, he finished. Yeah.
Yeah, that first one, because that first ball from Fornals was a rocket. It almost took Miguel Antonio's head off, and when he hit the post.
Hit the post. Yeah, it came in hot. That thing came in hot. And when I watched it, it hit that crossbar. I mean, it hit the goalpost hard, man. That thing was it rang like a.
Yeah. Respect to Benrahma and Antonio too, both goal and an assist each.
Yeah.
That's how you want to start your season. Not let that early goal against hurt them. They just
Yeah.
said, "Let's make some plays, boys."
And the
Yeah, and there's
crosses were crisp. They were on point. I mean, they were exactly where they were supposed to be. Yeah. Yeah.
and that's a sign of David Moyes' team too. He does always like those crosses. I remember back in his United reign, we had some game against somebody. We had like fucking 25 crosses or something in the game. It was crazy.
23 probably from Valencia.
Yeah, exactly. But no, yeah, I think it was a really good game. Something to bring up too, which I regret. I didn't take West Ham when they were down to 2-0, even though it did look like they were still in the game. Antonio had his chances, but they were plus 245, which means that if I would have bet $10 on them, I would have won 24.50 off of that. So making a total of 34.50 out of that $10. I saw it, I looked at it, and I should have took it, but I didn't. But that's something that that Jeff actually brought up again, because we are going to bring gambling and betting into this. Again, bet responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have any problems or anything like that with gambling, but that's something that you can do is you can live bet the team if you're watching a game. That's something we love doing is live betting a team. If you're saying like, hey, these guys got all the momentum, they're just not getting the breaks, and maybe it was a couple slips or something like that let Newcastle get in there, and you feel like West Ham's going to win. Double it up. If you already got the first money line, go ahead, take it again. It is a good opportunity to get better odds. I know me and Jibs took advantage of that United last season when they went down a lot early, and then we got better odds against these smaller teams and came out winning 3-1 easily. So that's something to think about too. Which again, transparency, I did not take it. I should have, but I didn't take it. And that's something to look at. Is if you are watching a game, that's a good time to get a live bet in. If you're noticing the team that's down has got a lot of momentum and they're getting plus money, it's an easy way to make a little bit of money out of there too.
Yeah. So, and to piggyback off of that, yeah. So what I learned from that experience is that timing of the bets is key. If you can figure out when the best time to place a bet is, you can really maximize your opportunities, especially when it's a team that is is better. Like you have an idea that the team is better, and it's just one of those those little small details that you really don't know, that you don't think about. And if people can figure out how to do that effectively, you can really maximize your winnings.
Yeah, and that's what we're here for. We're here to make you money. Like whether you tail us, you fade us, whatever you do, man, we just want to see green.
And it
we're
takes
here for. We're here to help you make money. Yeah.
It takes watching, because if you blindly were just looking at this and you saw at the time that Newcastle was minus, say, 150, but they have a goal lead, that's actually not bad, I'll pay that. Well, if you weren't watching or if you weren't following the stats, you would have just blindly thrown money away. So picking up on those trends, you got to watch it. And that's what's cool about bringing you into the fold here, Jeff, is you'll see that you'll pick up on those trends, both from a play standpoint, but also the trends of wagering. And wagering's been big in England for a long time when it comes to this sport. So there's definitely something to it.
I can tell, and because first of all, the app that you guys had me download, I mean, it's a lot of games on there. So I was thinking that I was looking at this app and I was going through, I was like, man, how many leagues are there? And there was there was some point this weekend, somebody says Zenith. I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, that's my
Russian team.
That's my Philippines League 2A team that I took
in this parlay.
I took it. I'm like, what? So then I started scrolling through all the teams. Like, Jesus, this is like it's 1,000 games on here.
And it definitely looks. Sorry to cut you off, but it definitely looks like we will say me and Jibs and Jeff, we do use FanDuel. That's the app we found the most. FanDuel, no free shout outs, so holler at us about some promos.
Yeah.
But
and I'll co-sign. I'll just say this at the end of it. I'll co-sign for these guys, because at the end I saw a couple wins happen, and I go, well, you know what? I was like, you know what? Just do it. I'm just going to do what JB's doing, or I'm going to do what Jibs is doing. Like, I'm just going to piggyback off of that. So I'm a novice. I don't do much like betting like in this. I never even knew what a sports book was until I started out in this podcast. So like I'm trusting in these guys. I am too. Like, I'm putting my money there too. So like, and I'm hoping that with watching more, I started picking up those fine details of seeing like learning the formations. You're doing a deep dive into the teams and what's more effective, what's leading to goals, what doesn't lead to goals, and knowing what managers do what and how they and what their tendencies are. It's a very intricate thing, and like JB said, you got to watch. Like you got to watch, and the more you watch, the more you educate yourself, and then you'll be able to start seeing things that the lay person won't notice, or just what the odds are not looking for or not saying.
Yeah.
Odd makers are not saying, and I feel like Jibs and Big John have a really good idea, a really good eye for that type of stuff. I've watched them. We placed best before, like amongst each other, but. Like we're talking about dollar bets, watching the Masters and stuff, like little goofy things like that. Just fun stuff between friends. But yeah, man, seeing the sports book and seeing these guys actually take a deep dive and it's overwhelming. That was my other take from it. It's a bit overwhelming. It's a lot. It is. And at one point I fell asleep. I was just saying $5. Yeah, put $5 on that, and I just fell asleep. It was.
Well, the proof's in the pudding because I bet on both Vienna teams today. Didn't watch a lick. Haven't followed their team, and they both lost. So, or
Yeah,
they
Vienna
might have
Stroud.
drawn. I lost my wager. They might have both drawn, but yeah, Rapid Vienna and what was the other one?
Austria Vienna got me.
Austria Vienna and Rapid Vienna both lost, and I put $5 on both.
And then
just
Zenit,
blindly.
as Jeff was talking about, I had
Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a tangent.
No, we're good. No, but we'll get to the final game of the weekend soon. But no, that Zenit game Jeff was brought up. Had Zenit to win in a parlay, would have been a 5 for a $65 win. Zenit scored in the 85th as I asked my boys to will it into victory.
I did,
and
it
happened. Yeah, he said, "Who's
Zenit?" Come on. I
said, "A Russian team I have in a parlay." All right, come on, Zenit. And Zenit scored. They did what they had to do. They scored in the 85th. I thought we were good and clear. I sent the LFG into the chat. And then 2 minutes later, they gave up a pin in the 89th and took away my whole parlay from me. But hey, that's gambling. That's life. It's definitely we call it the old 42 because the Patriots Super Bowl 42. they had all them wins, but just couldn't get the last one. They needed to get the money. And so that was I got an old 42. I had Atletico Madrid. I think I had Barcelona and a couple other teams in there, and then. Like I said, Zenit just does it. So, I mean, that happens a lot. Stay with it. Know that can happen, that a parlay is never done, even if it's in the 87th minute when the team has 10 men and you think they're just going to park the bus. It's not done because the old 42 does come out in every sport. If you do the parlay, it seems like you're only going to miss it by one, and that's how they get you. They get you back in there. So, again, bet responsibly. The smartest bet is the bet you can make. So let's do that. And then let's go into, if nobody has anything else, we'll get back to gambling a little bit later in the show. But let's talk about the finale to the weekend. What was supposed to be the match of the week was kind of marred almost by the Harry Kane controversy going into it. They talked more about that than anything else, really, it seemed like. But it was definitely exciting more in the second half once we got a little bit more action, but it definitely was a cagey affair. I feel like both teams weren't trying to give up anything more so than actually go get the goal. Jibs, what did you think seeing this morning as that second match of the day?
A lot of these not supposed to win teams, and there wasn't much. A lot of favorites won. A lot of home teams won this week. They weathered the initial storm. I thought City was going to have one or two 15, 20 minutes in. They
that Fernandinho chance.
Yeah, that's the notable one. But Spurs didn't give up on their convictions on what they were trying to do. And eventually they really flipped the tide. They started pressing and getting in key spots. I thought they should have won by more if they weren't going to let City have those initial goals. So it was good to see Son break through, kind of put his stake in the ground and say, no, this could be my squad. Would love to have you, Ari. But maybe we can do this on our own. We got some talent. And then, Jeff was talking earlier about he got joked on for taking Vardy. I got joked on for taking Dele Alli, and I thought he had a great game without getting on the score sheet. I could see him being pretty active, maybe back to form of 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, definitely
If not,
pre-Jose for him.
yeah. And well, Jose just dragged his spirit and soul down to the ground. So that is what it is otherwise. But thought he had a great active match as well. And who knows? We'll see what the Spurs can do. Maybe we were a little low on them if they defend like this, because that back line is the question. They gave chances early, gave a couple late, but a nice 1-0 win, and Son did his thing. His long ball receiving control is still world class. They really
Yeah.
can just flip the side of the field to him, just put it in that upper left corner, have him go get it. It's like watching Randy Moss and T.O. go get 9 routes back in the day. Just throw it up to him and he'll collect it, keep them safe, keep them attacking. And they did a really good job about kind of being in the face of City. You saw Grealish had a couple battles there with a couple different Spurs players.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And really that helped set the tone. Like, we're not backing
It was
down.
chippy. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
so
Yeah, it
chippy
was
out there.
definitely,
They went at Grealish. I had to ask. Though.
yeah,
I had to ask you guys. I was like, hey man, what's the beat? What's up with this guy? What
yeah.
did he
It
do?
was the perfect
Yeah.
way to win 1-0 in a game with everything you've had going on in the off season and coming into this camp. And Harry not even being on the team bus, let alone the team roster. So yeah, no, it was well done. What they were trying to do, I think, came through. And like I said, they missed their own chances as well.
Yeah, and I think you really saw that they came in with a plan. Nuno Espirito Santos came in, said, "Hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to set up." Like you said, it started with the defense. Shout out to Joffrey Tanganga, playing right back. He's normally a center back. I thought he was one of their man of the match. I definitely think it went to Son, but Tanganga played really good. Subbed off, I think, in like 78th, 80th minute or something like that. But he had a
Huge
really great
applause.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah, young defender. Yeah, and you heard he's one of our own chants, like
Yeah,
from the Tottenham faithful. So that's
they were
definitely something
loud.
good to see. Son's showing that why he just signed that 5-year extension. He deserved it. Like, hey, like Jib said, even if Harry Kane's not here, the sun's still shining, baby. So,
yeah. And
um,
it was yeah, and they gave Grealish no love. It was yeah, they gave him no love. The defense, yeah, they just came out aggressive and. It wasn't going to happen, you
no,
know,
and even
and that's the mentality you got to have though, right? You know, as a defender, yeah, go out and shut them down. Like no easy buckets, right? No easy buckets,
exactly live by the code.
no easy buckets. And I think you guys are burying the lead, right? I mean, Man City's what? This is the second time that a champion has lost an opening match, right?
Yeah.
What
Oh
is that?
yeah.
What is that? I mean, so. Man, and my impression, I hear Man City, I'm thinking, oh, they beat United last year, right? And then I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up, but
No, it happened.
I'm just saying, I'm thinking Man City, and I wanted
Technically, they didn't beat us head to head in the league, but they beat us on the table. But
great.
we'll just say that.
All I know is that
We
yeah,
did technically are 2-0 against
they're
them.
reigning
Right?
champions, right? They're reigning
Yeah,
champions, and it's only the
and that's
second
what
time.
matters.
Yeah, only second time in EPL that the reigning champ comes out to lose the opening match.
And I think what has a little bit too is I don't think Pep's gotten a full training camp this squad yet. I think a lot of them were on those international duties, so they are just kind of coming back a little disjointed. And then definitely too, you saw it with Ferran Torres up front. They had that opportunity at the end to tie it up, and
that was way
I mean, to
too
be
late.
honest,
Yeah,
if they had a pure number 9, a real striker, not almost like a false 9, if that's Harry Kane, even if that's Sergio Aguero, even if that's Jesus, if he would have brought out Ferran Torres instead of bringing out Sterling at that end when he brought on Jesus, that could have been a goal right then. Like that was an easy tap in if you're at number 9, but he just kind of scuffed it, went wide of net. And same thing, Bergwijn. I think like Jibs brought it up. Tottenham could have easily put this game away. They definitely had a couple really good chances. You had Son early, the one that got deflected off Joao Cancelo, but then they gave it a goal kick. And then the Bergwijn chance after the Son goal could have made it 2-0 and almost put the game away. But you saw City, and I mentioned this in our group text. I told Jeff, I said, hey, watch this now. This game is going to get crazy good now because usually it's when you play against City, you sit back, you counterattack. And if you get a goal, that's when City says, okay, screw it. We got to do it. We're not worried about possession. We're just going to push and push and push. And then you saw Tottenham took advantage of that when they got back possession. They counterattacked the back of the field. Lucas Moura, Bergwijn, Son up there. And if they do get,
but they weren't attacking 3-on-4. Just to interject real quick there, they
Yeah.
were still pushing the field. Like they were 4 or 5. They were plus a man still. So it wasn't even a true counterattack. They stayed on that ass. Like,
yeah.
and that was I actually respect to Tottenham there because
Yeah.
I totally thought it was going to be just a counter, 2-on-3s, 3-on-4s, and then a late midfielder or two join. But no, they still got out in front a couple times there too. Like, and
Well,
that's
yeah,
where the
even that goal.
came from.
Yeah, that goal was it started with I believe I think it was Lucas doing a little kind of half bicycle, we'll call it a
Yeah,
unicycle kick out, and then Bergwijn got it to Son. And then, like you said, it wasn't a 1v1 or 1v2. There was 4 or 5 defenders there for City. They just didn't step up. You have Ruben Diaz, a player of the year last year, trying to chest the ball that's at his knee level, like stick a foot out,
that was
cuz.
weird.
Like, yeah, it was weird. And I think that actually put Ederson off, who, of course, is my FPL keeper. Didn't start him this week because I was a little worried about Tottenham. Thanks to me, Martinez. Could have done better than 3 goals with there, but no, it definitely looked like you said. I don't understand the Nathan Ake start. I would have thought we would have had seen Laporte in there, but yeah, let's see. Maybe that was all in Pep's plan. Hey, let's go ahead and lose to Tottenham. Go ahead, buy Harry Kane. So Sheik Mansour will say, hey, maybe we can spend this 150 mil.
Well, Pep, if you're going to be this pissed off, just sell Sterling already. Like,
Yeah,
I don't personally love Sterling either, but I'm not his flipping manager. Like, just come out and say either what you want him to do or sell him to help fund Kane if that's your master plan. Like, a player of Sterling's stature deserves a little bit more respect and direction than I think Pep thinking he's the evil genius that he is. Like, I don't get how he's utilized Sterling compared to the rest of the squad and chances like he's done with other players. So it's like, sell him if you're not going to use him. He just had a
yeah.
great summer.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is like these are games you're supposed to win, right? I mean, we're talking about, or you're supposed to,
I mean,
I'm thinking
City are always going to be favorites, pretty
yeah,
much.
and I'm thinking to myself like, well, like you can't be giving up games because it's going to come down to it. May come down to very well come down to one game. You know what I mean? Like to a point or two, right? And if you're constantly at the top of the top 4 of the league every year, you need every point you can get. Right, and you can't, and definitely not with, you don't want to come out the season starting like this. Like,
And I think
mean,
especially
we're talking about momentum now. Like, I mean, you're talking about your confidence building. You're talking about, and then now and on the back end, you don't know how that's going to come back and bite you in the butt, right?
yeah, and
Harry
I think
Kane's down.
too,
Like you should. Harry Kane's not on the field. You or not on the pitch. You should have capitalized. You got to pull. You got to win this game. And they came out. It looked like they came out like with a little bit aggressive. But that second half, they weren't. It just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And you got to win those games.
It kind of felt like, if you've seen, I'm a huge hockey guy, but it kind of felt like the movie Miracle, where the USA took the lead against Russia, and Russia kept trying but beating their heads against the wall and just kept getting countered on and possessed against. Like, if you've seen that movie, you know exactly what I mean, where they got the lead and yeah, they defended well, but they didn't just sit back. And that was, you like seeing that, like, responsible, mechanical football at times, and
yeah,
they executed well. And again, like, yes, it could have been City 2-0 early. This easily could have been a 3-0 Spurs win too, like,
100%.
or 2-0. I'll give a little credit where credit's due, but it could have easily been a multiple goal win for
Yeah.
Spurs.
And I agree. Like, shout out to Nuno. Again, he came with a plan. His tactics were on point. And I think what Jibs was saying earlier, I think we kind of didn't give him almost the respect. And we saw it almost too. Maybe Wolves wanted Nuno back. Like, you saw it.
And you're right. They got outmanaged, Big John. I think they got outmanaged. I think.
Yeah, like I think Nuno came with the plan how he was going to beat City, and I think Pep came with we're City, we're going to just beat them doing our game. And I don't think it worked. Like, I think, like Jib said, like, I don't think Sterling deserved to be taken off in that game. Like, I think it should have been Mahrez. It should have been Ferran Torres.
Yeah, Mahrez.
Ferran Torres was essentially.
It could have been a few other people.
Yeah, Ferran Torres was invisible for 90% of the game until he scuffed the chance at the very end. Like, I forgot he was playing.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny I brought up Miracle because what Russia did in that legendary hockey game, going into the third period, they took out the best goalie in the world at the time, and that killed any chance of coming back against the Americans, even though they were the best team ever. And so Sterling, besides maybe Kane, just had maybe the best summer out of any English forward when it comes to the Euros and things like that. He sat a guy that just had a great summer and was in form, and Sterling was pissed on the bench. So
Yeah.
it was
You
like
could tell, yeah, he was definitely, he
this
was, what do you
game,
call it?
it just
Brooding.
felt
He was
like that.
brooding on the
Yeah,
bench.
You look like
yeah,
Jon Snow out there.
yeah.
No, and
Oh,
that's
you
what
know
we saw
nothing,
too.
Sterling.
I think that's what we saw too, is a lot of the players that went a little bit deeper into the Euros, a little bit deeper into the Olympics, like they're fresher. Like you saw the Richarlison goal from
Yeah.
Everton. You saw like these players, that the ones that didn't sit and take the extended holiday, like Calvin Phillips or Jadon Sancho, for instance, but they came back, they looked fresh. Harry Maguire looked good for us, like
Yep.
for United. Like Pulisic looked good coming
He
off of
did.
that Nations Cup. Like
He did.
you see that these players, like, yes, it is that rust, and maybe we'll see Richarlison slow down around Christmas when he gets kind of worn out. Maybe you'll see these players that went deep in the Euros kind of get worn out. But it's one of those where you saw maybe these players are a little bit fresher, not having a full training camp, but still having the games under their belt where they were getting game time and were real solid minutes.
Yeah, there'll be breaks though with World Cup qualifying. There will be plenty of rest. So even if they hit that rust point, like, you know, England's not going to have to use all those players. France isn't going to have to use all their players the whole time.
Exactly. When
And
they're
it's
going against
funny.
like Liechtenstein.
Yeah, and it's funny because I thought the players that underperformed in Euros looked really good too. Like yesterday, Bruno and Paul Pogba played like they were pissed off how their summer ended a little bit early at
Exactly.
the Euros. So, I know you saw that across the leagues overall, with a couple other guys scoring across, especially US players that we'll touch on in a little bit. So it goes a long way, but there'll be built-in breaks with World Cup qualifying and not having to be used every minute there and on club. So
And
I don't know,
Jeff, we will say too, those are the most boring weeks as a footy fan. Like international breaks are cool because like, oh hey, I get to see like national teams play, and I get to see like Grealish, Rashford, Sterling, and everybody play together for England or stuff like that. It sucks. You just want the Premier League to be back. Like, I know this is your first weekend in, but when it's an international break, and you're like, oh cool, who's Brentford playing this weekend? I can't wait to see them play. Oh, it's an international break, so there's no
well,
game.
because the times aren't regimented. Like if you want to see
Yeah.
Euro qualifying, there is no prime time European teams qualifying. It's we wake up at 6 a.m. if you want to watch it.
And you put on ESPN Plus and see Italy versus Luxembourg or something like that.
And then
Like,
the USA is guilty of, or their country division, whatever you want to call it, their league is guilty of having 8 and 9 p.m. starts. It's tough for an East Coast soccer fan during international breaks for sure.
Yeah.
and you know what I didn't even notice, there's 38 weeks. Is that
Yeah, because each player
matches.
you play, because you play home and away. So like,
Man,
you're-
you know what, that might be a sweet spot. Like, because like I feel like the NFL is like 17, or that
Yeah.
it's extended to 17, right? That's just a lot. That's just enough. Well, it's not enough, right? And then then you have like the NBA, which is like pushing it. Like I don't watch the
82,
NBA till
yeah.
I don't push it till like after. I don't watch basketball hard until like after the All-Star break,
Yeah.
right? And even in definitely with baseball.
Yeah, baseball.
I don't watch it till October. Like
You put the bets in for your daily parlay and you just let them ride and see what the fuck happens.
I don't watch the Yankees until after July 4th, for example. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
I was curious. I was like, okay, 38 matches. So like that might be that maybe a break there might be okay, but
Yeah, because
I feel like I'm getting excited about it. I'm sure once the weeks get going, I'm gonna get that bug's gonna be on me. I'm gonna find a team, right? I'm gonna have a team I'm gonna want to watch, and it's gonna be brutal not being able to watch them. So
yeah, no, because each team. So this is a good little learning point too. Each team they play a home and away. It is a random draw when they're making the schedule. And then if say there's 2 buckets, one team pulls United at home. The first team pulls home United. The second team is Leeds away. Cool. Then they'll take a Leeds ball out of the other bucket, so they can't pick them again until after they've already played. So they'll play 19 games against the other 19 teams first, home or away, and then it flips. There isn't like some all-star break. There isn't technically it just happens. You don't even realize. You're like, oh wait, this is the first game of the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Like you'll hear a bunch of commentators and talking heads saying like, oh hey, we're at the halfway point of the season. Let's see. And Christmas is usually around that halfway point.
okay.
And that's what's kind of cool too, Jeff, how like American football does like Thanksgiving as like a big football holiday, kind of like where it's like, hey, it's a holiday, but we're watching some football today. That's how Boxing Day in
Boxing
England is.
Day.
In a holiday period, the day after Christmas is how like the NBA does Christmas Day in America.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The
All
big
day it's
teams,
games. Yeah, there's tons of games, and then they'll play even like Boxing Day could be on like a Thursday. They're gonna play 2 days before that on like the Mondays and Sundays and stuff. So that Christmas period, the holiday period as it's called, is like there's like 5 to 6 games in like a 2 to 3 week period of each team. Like, so that's where you really see like, and that's almost where it's like, okay, this is where you see the for real, who's real and who's just here for show. That's where if Everton, if Leeds or someone else is going to step up like that West Ham, like the Aston Villa, that's when they need to make it. Like if they can't make it through that Christmas period without getting good amount of points coming out of there, they're not going to be in the top 4 race. Like that's when you really see the separation start happening is around that holiday break.
Well, that's where City got back into it because remember they started very slow. And I think something like through December they had something like 7 matches and there was 6 clean sheets and only 1 goal conceded, like something banana lands. And that December, and then after United's late winter, early spring run, they weathered that, and it was just they pulled away. It was never really close down the stretch.
Yeah, so that's definitely a good little see where you can see they're in the home stretch. Once they get to Christmas, we can actually barometer. Yeah, exactly. So that's that concludes our review of the Premier League weekend. Jeff, your initial like we said foray into the Premier League, your first opening match week. As you know, a recurring segment on this is going to be Jeff's journey. We want you as fans to kind of go along with us. And if you're new to Premier League, be like Jeff. The best thing that me and Jibs have told him is, hey, watch the games, find players you like, find teams that you connect with, and go from there. Like, yes, we'd love for you to be a United fan, but we understand that United's not for everybody, and it's got to be organic, and that's the best way to get something to become a fan and a supporter of someone and the team is to just be organically. So, Jeff, I'm gonna let you get the floor for a little bit, man. Tell us about your first weekend in the Premier League as a fan, and what Jeff's journey is looking like after game week 1.
Well, I mean, yeah, I said it before. And speaking of organic, man, Brentford Football Club, man, that was something that was you couldn't script, you couldn't write that, and it was just a nice way to coming off of COVID, right? No fans, first time in the EPL, like I was really relating with them. I love music. I don't, and this is what I'm presuming that the Beatles are from West London. Is that or is it just
I think that
Hey Jude? Is just
the
something
Beatles
they sing?
The Beatles are Scousers. They're from Liverpool.
So why were they? So maybe the whole
well,
Hey
it could have
Jude
been. Well, because what if you because I actually listened on I know you probably couldn't hear it on the broadcast, but they were actually saying Brentford in the tune of Hey Jude. It was like Brentford. Nah, 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 nah.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I didn't know that, but I love that. Now that I know that, that's fantastic. Anyways, I relate to that. I knew the song. It's just weird, I'm looking for ways to relate to teams, right? And so anything that builds a connection with me was great. So Brentford was definitely one plus one in Jeff's journey, but a lot of players I liked. I loved watching Pogba. I loved watching Vardy. I loved watching who else was
Ben
it?
Rama. I was gonna say Ben Rama. You brought up before.
Ben Rama. It's somebody else that I'm missing. It's Song. I like Song. I feel like the guy's like the nicest soccer player ever.
He really is.
Like he throws him a little hard every time. It's like he's this nice Asian guy. And I believe he's from South Korea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I have a very good friend who was South Korean. His name was Sungjae. He actually passed away a few months ago. R.I.P. Sungjae. But he was, I just know, the South Korean. Anyways, these are just things I noticed, and it was exciting, man. It was exciting. Loved it. Lots of games, lots of exciting games, scoring. But also I want to know a little bit more about what they say. M is for Mbappe. I was looking for. I was interested in hearing a little bit about the Euro leagues, and I believe the name with the funnest name to say in football uh, 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 brought it home, right, with PSG, right? And
Yeah,
that right,
yeah.
JB? Jibs?
Yeah, he bagged one. They beat PSG, or PSG beat Strasbourg 4-2. Got a little tight there for a little bit, but I think they did their thing. And that's still without Sergio Ramos, still without Lionel Messi in the fold. So that was definitely a good game. They were about the only favorite in France that didn't lose or draw. Everybody else really kind of crapped the bed. I
Yep.
think Monaco crapped the bed on Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
Leo got
Montpellier,
blown out. Leo got
Leo got
blown out on
blown out like
Saturday.
5-0. At
Jesus.
some point, Monaco, I don't think won. They lost or they drew against
I think they
Lorient.
lost to Lorient. Yeah,
So
I think they
they
lost.
lost. That might have been 1-0 actually. So that was a snoozer. Lyon lost or drew. I think that was another loss. So French league wasn't so fun this week outside of PSG. So we probably won't make too many notes if that season goes as expected and PSG just
Yeah.
goes Hulk smash on the rest. So we'll talk about PSG a bunch, but predominantly probably Champs League for them. And any other transfer rumors, especially if it's for Paul, as the season progresses. I mean, technically, if they want him, they can start talking on a free in January. So, but let's get through this
Yeah.
transfer window first. Summer transfer window isn't over yet. But yeah, probably not a lot to talk about in France this year. Not a ton of Americans there. PSG is probably going to run away with it. Anything you want to add regarding France there, Johnny?
It just seemed like PSG, man, it's like a career mode over there. Like you
Yeah.
just hit a button to get the transfer budget up a little bit. And you're like, oh, hey, cool, Messi's available. Cool, let's go get him.
No
Like,
problem.
whatever. Wijnaldum, we'll get him too. We'll pay him $400K a week. Whatever. Donnarumma, yeah, I'll go ahead and have one of those too. Oh, Sergio Ramos, one of the most decorated center backs all time. Hey, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go ahead and get him on a free. But to be honest, it was smart. Hakimi's really the only one they paid big money for to bring in.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else mostly was on a free.
And that was done
they
early.
Just pay him high wages. Yeah, they just pay him high wages. But yeah, this is definitely probably one of the best transfer windows you're going to see. It looks like one of those kind of like college recruiting, like when you see like the golden age of recruits. This could go down as what gave PSG the push to get them over the edge on the Champions League. Is, I mean, you would hope so, bringing in one of the most decorated defenders of all time and arguably the GOAT of all time. You know what I mean? Like the greatest of all time. Yes, I get to repeat that twice. And then, but yeah, like you said, I think France. We thought Leo was going to be a little thing. They did beat them in the French. I don't know the name of it, so I'm just going to call it the French Community Shield. In the little season opener, Lille did win that, so we had a little bit of like high hopes for him. But it looks like it's definitely to chalk, and that PSG should pretty much run away with this.
Yeah.
And go from there. So, in betting wise, honestly, it's going to be terrible. We're going to bring in a couple other French teams, and we'll definitely check the Twitter for that. We are going to release our picks for any European random Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday games. We'll release it on the Twitter. And again, tail or fade, it's up to you. As long as you get the green, we're cool with it. We would prefer if you tailed and we all get the green, but we're cool with the fade. And then speaking of earlier, we touched on it with Pulisic scoring. We have Gio Reyna out in Germany. If we want to jump to the Bundesliga for a little bit,
Yeah. Getting that number
Gio,
7.
Exactly, getting number 7 shirt, taking over from Sancho. Scored a goal. It was I believe it was the third goal in that match.
Dominated.
Came through. Yeah, dominating 5-2 win. Dortmund over Frankfurt. The robot that is Erling Haaland had 2 goals, 2 assists.
Future United player.
Yeah, exactly. hopefully we'll be at United next year for that release clause. Join his old manager Ollie, and then his old his best friend, we'll say, Jadon Sancho. But he just looks even come back from summer. Norway obviously didn't do anything in the Euros, but he looks more and more like a machine. The only thing that worries me about maybe United getting Haaland is that he kind of seems like a Zlatan player to me, where he's going to be a mercenary and travel across Europe, go to different teams. But hey, it is Ollie. That is the most famous Norwegian footballer of all time.
Mhm.
could be his potential manager. So by all means, we have a little twinkle in our eye for Holland.
I do too.
Hopefully, he doesn't go to fucking City. Like, hey, go ahead and get Kane. That way, Holland's just
Yeah.
free to come to Old Trafford. Come on up the M6, buddy. We got you. But definitely, Gio is looking good. That's a great start. Obviously, we love seeing our Yankees score throughout the world, and two of our best young prospects and superstars, honestly, because our whole team's pretty much young prospects. Did really well this weekend. Pulley getting the goal.
Yeah.
Exactly, with and then Gio too. Anything else, Jay? Did you want to talk about Bayern? I saw they lost on Friday, right?
Yeah,
Or
Bayern.
They drew.
They drew. I had my note here. Nothing else notable. Hamburger SV lost to St. Pauli, but that was a both plus odds. The bookmakers didn't know much about it there. Bayern actually ended up drawing with Gladbach, so that one's kind of a wash. Pretty standard for that league overall. Not much there in the Bundesliga overall. It was
Leipzig lost too, though. So that's
I'm sorry. Yeah,
interesting. That,
Leipzig and Red Bull lost.
Yeah, So that's kind of interesting to see
do
that,
forget
like,
those.
even though Dortmund did kind of blow out Frankfurt, that you did kind of see a little bit of parity with Mönchengladbach drawing with Bayern, and then they're the third team in the league that's normally the Atletico, we'll say, of the Bundesliga, and RB Leipzig, Red Bull, but we'll just say RB Leipzig to keep it a little bit quicker. Lost to Mainz 1-0 2 on today.
Yeah. Good games. I mean, I like the Bundesliga. I like watching it, but it's definitely like, betting plays a part into it there, and we want to see that table get set a little bit more, if you will,
100%.
unintended, and see where we go with there.
And all those games too, for all American listeners. Again, we said if you have Peacock, ESPN Plus, and your cable subscription, you should be good to go to see almost every game we're talking about. All the games from Bundesliga are going to be on ESPN Plus, and that actually kind of segues us into perfectly, because all of the La Liga games are also going to be available on ESPN Plus this year. I think they just signed that deal. Jeff was talking about that a little earlier. So Jeff, you were talking about you want to get into the international or the more other European leagues. Madrid is definitely one of the most famous up there in La Liga. You saw they got that 4-1 win against Alaves. Boosie Fade Benz got the brace, got 2 goals in there. Pretty much business as usual for Madrid. You would expect them to beat a team like Alaves. And that's something that, from the betting aspect, that me and Jibs like to take advantage of, is these other European leagues where it is very top heavy, almost like how the ACC is in football, how it's Clemson. And that's how it is almost. Like, you're going to see those top teams are supposed to beat these bottom teams. And that's usually what happens. So we like to take advantage of that and put those in the parlays, where we'll call it our Euro play parlay of the day, where we put, say, even though it didn't work out this time, but a Bayern, a Dortmund, and a Leipzig all in a bet if they're playing one of those smaller bottom of the table teams. You might not get as good as odds for it straight up, but throwing into a parlay is always a good option. Just be careful, because, like, for instance, like when Bayern lost to the what team was it? The Union Berlin, actually. Yeah. When they lost to Union Berlin last year, they were probably plus or minus 400 favorites. And it did ruin that parlay. So just be careful if it is those super odds. We like usually running our parlays in between the -1, probably 130 up to about minus like 280, 300, just to keep it where, yes, it's still going to add some dollars in there, but we're gonna get what we can get out of those big leagues, because they're supposed to be
pretty chalk.
Exactly, pretty chalk. And that's just something we go against. Again,
But
in La Liga.
You can watch the standings there too, because one thing I will say is, even though last year we had that L to Union Berlin because of our boy Gump on Hammer Down with the Pat McAfee show, we actually did pretty well taking Union Berlin a lot last year too. So that maybe should have been one where we're like, you know what? We know Union Berlin plays well. We've taken them a bunch. They've got some dubs. Let's not go the heavy chalk favorite this time. Like, you don't have to watch those games, but watch those standings, watch those matchups. Who's the sneaky team? Who's the Brighton in that league? Probably the Union Berlin, who's 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th in the Bundesliga.
And exactly, and that's something that you'll get with just gambling on a little bit more games, being more comfortable with your sports book, like Jeff was saying. That he didn't even realize there was in FanDuel. Like, luckily, again, they've upped it this soccer season. There's definitely way more leagues in there. Like, we're betting on Swedish League Two teams that we're getting info on. Shout out to Merles. Um, but that's something that too, that you're going to find these teams that are getting good odds, and you can take them at draw no bets. Which, if you didn't know, say you can get them a draw no bet or a double chance, which are two soccer bets that are almost unique to soccer. A draw no bet is going to be where you take them and say you put $5 draw no bet. It's going to be less odds than the money line, but if it's one of these that's already plus money at the money line, you might be able to get it at a minus 110, minus 125 at a draw no bet. Where if it draws, your bet's just voided. So if you put $5 on that bet, say on Union Berlin, and they ended up drawing, hey, you just get your money back. You didn't win no money, you didn't lose no money. It just voided a bet, you get it back. And that's draw no bet. Or if we're gonna put it on the Twitter, we're gonna say DNB. But we will definitely spell it out the first couple times we use it, until you guys get familiar with that. And then another thing is the double chance, which is because it is a three-way bet. It is a home team, draw, or away team. You can take a double chance and take your draw and away team, draw and home team. And yes, again, you're going to not get that great of odds, but that's something really good to do on underdogs that you want to, hey, save your money. At the end of the day, yes, we want to make these crazy amounts of money and hit these crazy parlays, but at the end of the day, it's about making any kind of money you can, any kind of profit. If you can take a double chance, say, for instance, on one of these lower teams like a Brentford versus Arsenal or anything like that, you get where if it's a draw, hey, you get paid. If it's a win for that team that you bet on, you get paid. So that way you're getting two of the three outcomes that you can get as one bet. But again, that's lower odds. So just something, again, I know we're trying to bring everybody up to speed. And I know sometimes we're going to drop like gambling
Innuendos.
jargon. Yeah.
Yeah,
And innuendos
lingo.
that,
Yeah, lingo.
yeah, the lingo. So, and we are definitely going to expand on that going further. And that's another thing while we're so happy to have Jeff here because that brings another perspective of if he ever has a question about gambling or anything like that, he knows, just interject. And that's why he's your conduit as a new fan to soccer and maybe a new bettor, even if it's not just soccer. Because best believe once these other American sports come in, we're going to have other bets for you this week because by all means, we're not huge unit gamblers. We're not throwing around thousands of dollars on our bets, but we are definitely definitely big quantity bettors where we do like spreading our board across different sports and we feel like we do have the knowledge for that. So that's something as Americans we are going to bring into to this pod as well. So yeah, but that's something I just want to touch on that. I know I got on a little tangent about the double chance to draw no bet, but those are some things to look at. And we just want to kind of give you an insight and more transparency of how me and Jibs think of the gambling world and how we see the slate. On just little things where you're going to get those favorite teams. Like I know JB's Zurich Young, the Zurich Grasshoppers is one of his teams. Yeah, it's just one of those teams where we see, hey, they get decent odds a lot of the time, and they're a pretty good team in that Swiss league. Who the fuck is watching the Swiss league? Not us, but we pay attention to it enough to gamble on it. Like,
I think
so
I've
that's
seen
just
10 minutes of a Grasshopper Zurich game, and that was mostly because they were in a Champion or Europa League qualifier,
yeah.
somewhere at some point.
And
Can't name one player, but I know they have a piece of my heart and soul because they've got me some greenage.
But go ahead, Jay. I was gonna say, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I didn't know if that was a good segue. Briefly touch on La Liga before we wrap it up with some transfer rumors and then any other betting topics we wanted to hit on.
Yeah, definitely. We saw Barca post Messi, first game post Messi. We can call it what, AM instead of AD. It's AM. This is now Barca after Messi. 4-2. Yeah, exactly. And then another name you guys might be aware of, Martin Braithwaite. He's the Dane. He played a little decent part in the Euros for him with Denmark making that nice run after Christian Eriksen's collapse, which we are all by all means very happy that he's doing well. But you saw Martin Braithwaite did get that brace, which again, if you're not up to soccer lingo, brace is 2 goals. It's like the little baby brother to the hat trick. And then another player that we might have saw over the summer, I'm gonna look at my paper to read this, folks. Oyarzabal from Sociedad also got a goal, but he was on the Spanish Olympic team. So if you watch them throughout the Olympics, I know it was more so as Americans were more so probably watching the women's team and paying attention to them. But if you did see any of Spain, he was one of their main attacking targets, and he got on the board for Sociedad as well.
Medalist.
Yeah, exactly. And then like I said, that's kind of a quick recap on the Barca game. Round out the top three in La Liga, since it is mostly a 3-horse race out there. My personal bet, one of my bets of the week, Atletico did fend off Celta Vigo. Yep, let's get paid. That's my. We actually got it at plus money. When we said it in the pod, it was minus 115, but we actually got it plus a little bit closer. So that's the same thing. And I talked about the Arsenal match earlier. Sometimes it does pay off to put your bet in a little bit closer to game time because for some reason the market did flip a little bit. And another super quick tangent. That's something that me and Jibs noticed that soccer, unlike like American football, that's probably 75% of the market share when it comes to betting. NBA follows that, and then baseball, then it becomes hockey and soccer. And we've noticed that that's something that you can focus on is find those niche sports. Shit, become a darts expert if you wanted to, if you want to be a gambling. Like find something that's a niche sport that you know the market share isn't going to be that much because in American football, the books are going to do the most research and have the most people working to make sure they get it right.
And the
And
sharps
honestly,
move money.
exactly. And where someone goes puts $1 million bet on the Raiders, that's going to move the line for the Raiders.
Yeah.
That's not really the case in soccer, especially in America soccer, that the lines don't get changed because there's not that heavy amount of money moving and they don't have as many people working at the books on these lines and these live feeds and stuff to get it right. Yes, it is a lot of algorithms and stuff like that, but that's something to think about too, is find your niche. Like we are really decent at soccer and really, really good at hockey. Like, and it's because it's those niche markets that you're not going against the entire population of the sports book when you're betting on these two. So
And it helps that they're my two favorite sports. So that works out. Real quick, two topics I did want to touch on as we kind of blend on other notable Europe and the betting scene. Sounds like Matt Miazga is going to go from Chelsea over to Alaves. So he's going to be joining some countrymen over there. I'm definitely going to be interested to watch them. I know Real Madrid kind of smoked them, but hey, if you got a couple of Americans on your team, you're good by me. I know some of the other smaller countries have several Americans on one team, but it'll be nice to have that in a top flight league. And then special shout out to just an absolutely beauty of the game, PK from Barcelona, the captain. He's actually took a wage reduction so they can complete those signings, basically to keep Barcelona sans Messi, to sign Memphis to get a couple other guys registered with La Liga and rolling. Gerard Piqué is just one of those guys that always was a winner, badass defender, dates Shakira, played 10 to 12 games for United back in the day, and has just
Champions League winner.
Champions League winner, actually, technically,
with
too.
United. Yes.
But just one of those genuine guys that you can't help but to root for, Jamie Vardy type. Glad to finally see him, get the recognition off something like this because, not only him playing with several world-class players, he is one himself, but he's also a defender and they don't always get their shine. Not only that, he scored today. I believe he had their first goal.
He did. He opened scoring.
That's so sick. Like, what a story. And then you hear their other captains are going to come out and take a wage reduction. So Barca might actually have a couple moves here to keep them challenging for that La Liga title. It's not all doom and gloom, even with the club finances. So cool little heartwarming story. Serie A starts next week to round out Euro conversation, and they have Italian Cup going on right now. Nothing too notable there. We haven't seen any of the Wales play in the Italian Cup yet. And then
so those opening rounds.
Just as far as other notables, I don't know when you'll hear this, but the one game I will mention for Monday, August 17th, or August 16th, it's already Monday now, is you will see Galatasaray playing today, which has DeAndre Yedlin, the American, on there. And I think for us, there's a couple top teams playing, but that's the most notable for that reason.
And to piggyback off that, just make sure you follow our Twitter at We Say Soccer. I mean, shit, follow everything. Follow our Instagram, follow all that. But we will definitely be putting out our picks throughout the week. If it's something we don't touch on the pod, on the Wednesday recording of the pod, we will preview our show and give you our bets for the upcoming Premier League and around Europe weekend. But just make sure you stay tuned to that to our Twitter. You'll see us live tweeting. We usually try to tag so you know who's talking. You can probably become a supporter of one of us even. You say, oh, hey, I'm a real Jeff fan. But no, definitely follow our Twitter. We'll have all of our bets because me and JB do throw random parlays where, like we said, the Euro play of the day where, hey, beginning of the day, we'll wake up, take that little morning deuce while we'll look at the FanDuel Sportsbook and see what kind of favorites we got in these small European leagues playing. And then we'll be sure to send that out, especially if we see any notables that we see who are saying, ooh, Galatasaray getting money like this where it's not that terrible odds. And again, because the Sharks should eat the minnows in these small leagues, hopefully we don't get the old 42 and we'll be good, hit a couple of these parlays and be good. But I wanted to say, because you did bring up, JB, you did bring up that Italian Cup. And I know we've been talking about a little bit of it off pod, Jeff, about your question today. And that brings us into Jeff's novice question of the week. Where it's just a little segment we thought about where Jeff is gonna, hey, think about throughout the week, have a question, bring us up to us. Probably do this on the Mondays after the weekend, so he can have something from the weekend, maybe bring to it. And just so it brings you along, where again, he is your representative, he is your figurehead as new EPL fans and new soccer fans coming into the game. And speaking, since JB did bring up the Italian Cup, Jeff, I know you had some questions about the cups and the different leagues and all the crazy matches that can happen. So I'll let you take it away and then we'll answer from there.
Basically, so as I was watching some of the matches this weekend, they started mentioning things like the Euros. And I'm sorry, Euros, right?
Europa League.
I'm sorry, the Europa League. I'm sorry, the Europa League. The Euros just happened. Yeah, the Europa League, and it got me curious. Like, so how does it all work? Like, and so my question of the day is, how do the leagues and how do they work as they play in multiple leagues in at one time with one team? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a good analogy with that, and what I've been using, I explained this with my girlfriend when she wasn't really she knew soccer, but she was like you, where she understood the game, she get it, but she didn't know honestly like the little nuances and stuff. And I thought about it one day, and I was like, man, I love this sport. Like, I got to be able to get my other friends into it. Like, I got to be able to explain this because it is confusing. Where especially not maybe right now when it's the opening of the season, but when we get to that October, November, December, January, you're gonna have Wednesday, Sunday, Saturday matches, Thursday, Sunday matches. Like, and you're like, wait, how are they playing Barcelona now, but yet they play Southampton on the weekend? How does that even happen? So the analogy that I thought of, and me and Jibbs talked about this for a couple years, is a way to get our friends in, is NCAA basketball. So something we all know, we all love March Madness. As we've talked about, we are gamblers on here, and that's one of the main things that got us really into gambling is this March Madness and following Cleveland State through the Ohio Valley Conference and stuff like that. Like betting on teams that you never think you would bet on. Well, so take it as this. So the NCAA as a whole is European soccer, is club soccer throughout Europe. So, and another question I know Jeff brought up was, wait, so the Euros are international, but the Champions League is club and all that. So yes, just like American sports, when KD and Draymond and all of them went to the Olympics, that's international. That's them playing for Team USA. So the Euros was European nations playing for their team, for Team England, for Team Spain, for Team Germany. And that's them going away. And the Euros are kind of like the CONCACAF, if you paid attention to any of the leagues over here. The UEFA is I think it's your United European Federation or Football Association is what that stands for. That's why it's the UEFA Champions League. It's all the leagues within Europe competing for the one thing. And so you got to take each of those leagues in Europe. The easiest analogy is in the NCAA again, take each league as a conference. The Premier League is the ACC of basketball. It's the top league. It's got a lot of top players. Maybe not the best player in the league, where you might see that at Trae Young being at Oklahoma in the Big 12. But regardless, the ACC usually is the top performing league in that. Then you'll see, like, for instance, the Big 12 will be like La Liga, and they'll have a couple where you have your top teams that are really good. The rest of the teams aren't that good. Same thing, like the Pac-12 is the French league. And for instance, so each of their, in NCAA, when you're the conference champion of the regular season, that's just like winning the league in football. The regular season conference champion, say North Carolina in the ACC. There you go, Jeff. I'll shout out Carolina. They're the ACC regular season champs, even though I think it was Florida State last year or something.
The ceiling is the roof.
Exactly. But they won the regular season. They had the most wins, i.e., same with Manchester City. They got the most points from their wins, which put them into the champion spot. So they won the ACC, which is the Premier League. PSG won the Pac-12 and so on and so forth. Like Atletico Madrid won Big 12 and all that. So those teams, just like in the NCAA tournament, the top teams from each conference, the only difference is it's not a selection committee. It's not a group of old white dudes picking who gets to go in. It's a regimented thing where for England, for instance, the top 3 teams are automatically in the UEFA Champions League, which we're going to say is like the big dance for the NCAA basketball, where you win your conference, you do really well in your conference, you get to go to the postseason. The main big difference is that postseason is the following season. So everything that happened last season, 2020 to 2021, is being the Champions League this year. So Manchester City won the league. They're in it. United were second. They're automatically in it. Chelsea were third. They're automatically in it. And then Liverpool in fourth has to go to a playoff where they play against another team, say the second place team in the Dutch league, for instance. And if they win that, they move on to the Champions League. So if you get in that's why everyone talks about the top 4 or the Champions League positions, because you want to be in those because you get more money, you get more exposure, you get paid just for being in the tournament, like the NCAA tournament, how that makes those smaller clubs and smaller colleges way more money by making it to the Elite Eight. Like when George Mason made the run, that renovated half of campus. Like,
does every league get the same amount of teams in?
No. Okay, so
it's weighted. So EPL has 4.
Well, the EPL has 3 automatics.
3, and then
four possible. Yeah.
But the 4 will be playing off.
And then
he's number 4 here, but he's playing against the number 2 in another league. Tournament.
Yeah, okay, so I can't think of the word right now. They have like a league power ranking where like Premier League has 4, La Liga gets 4, well 3/4. Yeah, and then like Italy and Germany will get 3, for instance, or 2 plus the third, and then France will get like 2 plus the 1, and then like smaller leagues, so like just 100% is the same, just like how the MEAC gets their champion is the only team that gets in. That's how it is for like the Dutch league. Well, the Dutch league I think actually gets their first one.
One
maybe
one.
Yeah, I think it's the second one gets there too.
But Russia, I think, is 1.
Yeah, the same way, where that's why it means so much for those smaller league countries, where like Belgium, Anderlecht is trying to get in the Champions League. It's the same thing, just like in NCAA, where you have those mid-majors, where sometimes, yes, there is, like I said, it's not, you don't get, oh, hey, Creighton, you did really good, you just lost your conference championship. No, if you don't win the championship in a small league, like from Georgia, for instance, or something, you don't get in. Like, and then it's again too with those leagues where the power rankings, where sometimes the winner of the league from Belarus doesn't even make it to Champions League. You have to go to the Europa League, which is the NIT in this analogy, where okay, hey, for England again, we're going to use England because it's the one we're most knowledgeable with. 5 and 6, or if that 4th team didn't win that playoff, go into the Europa League or the NIT. And the Europa League is kind of unique, where if you're a fan that travels with the team, it's kind of cool because you get to go to Bratislav and like crazy places that you wouldn't go, like Red Star Belgrade and stuff like that, like places
Mm.
that you wouldn't normally go. But then also,
Go to Greece.
exactly, but then also that's a double-edged sword where we were talking about in the preview show about like West Ham. They made the Europa League, but their team isn't that deep. So that's games that if they're actually going to try to win the Europa League, that they're going to have to take some of their starters like Suchek, like Antonio, like Sofal, like Ben Rama. They're going to have to decide, hey, are we going to save them for the weekend to play Liverpool, or are we going to use them in Europa League and try to make a run in this? Because like not like American basketball, but the winner of the Europa League gets an automatic bid into next year's Champions League. So
Okay.
you could finish seven. So say Arsenal last year. Arsenal lost in the semifinals Europa League. They finished what, eighth? I think in the table, seventh or eighth. They could have made the Champions League if they would have beat Villarreal and then in turn beat United for the Europa League championship. They would have automatically been in the Champions League, regardless of them finishing eighth. The only caveat to that is then that fourth place team automatically goes down to Europa League because you took your 4 spots. Oh, no. Actually, I'm just kidding. Europa League doesn't matter. The Europa League and Champions League champions auto pushed regardless of the number. And then, so on top of that, so that explains the European competitions that we're going to see a little bit later in the season. But then just domestically, there's also 2 league cups, at least in England and a lot of other countries as well, have at least 1 domestic cup, if not 2. And that brings up where we were talking about the levels, like in England, they're about to start the FA Cup is starting soon. Their EFL Cup, I should say, is starting soon, where it's going to be those tier 4 teams, those tier 5 teams playing against each other for a chance to then come and play against United in round 4 or 5. Like, and what that is almost like a conference tournament, but if like the ACC and the Big South combines, where hey, you get to play in this and you have a chance to win this combined conference tournament.
I got a little bit better example there. What I've always thought of it as, Jeff, is if North Carolina had a competition and with UNCW, App State, Western Carolina, all the way through UNC Duke. They had an in-state tournament across the basketball conferences.
Yeah,
that's what that domestic cup is.
Yeah, it's for the country more so than the leagues themselves. So yes, 100%. That's actually a way better analogy to put it. And then there's the EFL Cup, which is the one that you're going to see a lot of big teams just put their kids in. Like, hey, if we win, cool. Like cities want a good amount, Arsenal's want a good amount. But the FA Cup is the one that people want. That's the Greensboro ACC Championship, the classic. This is where it goes down. Like the FA Cup is where you see teams like a Derby County or a Reading from the championship come up and make crazy runs where you're like, whoa, how are you, like, you shouldn't be winning this, but it's the magic of the cup.
Well, they beat a Prem team like Southampton would lose to Derby.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just one of those where that's almost like how they do the conference tournament. Like how the ACC conference tournament is at the end of the season, and it's like, oh, you have UNC's the regular season champs, but Duke's the ACC tournament champs or whatever. Yeah. That's pretty much how it is. But it runs through the season instead of at the end of the season. So you'll have Saturday, a team will play Southampton. Then that following Tuesday, Wednesday, they're going to play Fulham. That's in the championship. Like they're just matched up. And how that happens is just literally random balls out of a hat are pulled, and it's, oh, they're at home, they're away. But then you get small teams like Preston North End. I think we played them a couple years back, where if we go to their ground, that's tons of money for that club, where they're making good bank because that's bringing eyes to them, that's bringing the revenue to their home game. So it's just one of those almost like old school grassroots style tournaments that's just a magic, and it has the lore, kind of like how March Madness does. But we're saying that March Madness is more like the Champions League, where it is that pomp and circumstance, and hey, this is the big dance essentially. That's what every club team is working for. Is yes, they want to win their league, but they also want to be the best team in Europe, and that's the European Championship. That's the Champions League, where it is. The reason it's called the Champions League is it's literally a league of champions, runners up, third place teams, like the best of the best of the best, sir, are in the Champions League. So that's that's just an easy way to kind of look at it. Is like, oh, okay, hey, they're in the EFL Cup this weekend. This is like the conference tournament. Like, oh, cool. It doesn't really. If you lose, whatever, you just didn't win the trophy. Essentially, that's not. You don't lose any points in the regular season. You don't lose anything from the Prem. There are two separate entities, but they are played normally midweek, or there'll be like sometimes there'll be a break where like once it gets into later rounds, it'll have say like City versus Watford in the semifinal. So they play on Saturday, and their Premier League game will get pushed to like a Wednesday or something, where there'll be only like two games that are FA Cup, and then all the rest of the slate's Premier League. But then those two games that day are FA Cup. So I hope that helped a little bit of the confusion. And yeah, but any other questions on that, Jeff? I tried to go most in depth, but I think the NCAA and how it works with the different conferences and leagues is the best analogy, especially us being American sports fans too.
Yeah, I mean that kind of clears it up. Yeah, now I have an idea of how they work interchangeably, and how they keep the competition and the health of the sport all. It seems like it's all year long. Like there's always something going on, which is great.
Yeah, and then that way too, that's a good way to if you do follow a team, like that's a good way to see maybe some of your young prospects. Like early in the FA Cup, it's usually like lower league teams again going against these giants, where you'll see, hey, maybe Bruno and Pogba won't play against this match. Like we'll let a little young player come in, or somebody that needs some rotational minutes, as we saw with these players that are a little bit more fresh, being a little bit better this opening match week compared to the players that didn't. So just keep a little match sharpness. You'll see a bunch of young kids and a little bit more exciting prospects. And then, like I said, it's just the magic of the cups. Like crazy shit happens in the FA Cup where like a championship team can beat Liverpool type shit. Like, like definitely crazy stuff happens in the cup. So they're all fun to watch. But they are just, like I said, a little bit different where also too, if they go to extra time and then they have penalties after that, they don't get into the home and aways, and we'll get a little bit more in depth on how like there's home and aways, they're called draws, which is or a league tie, excuse me. Like a Champions League tie is a Manchester United plays at home against Barcelona, then we play away against Barcelona. And like I said, we'll get more into that once the Champions League and more cup seasons come around. We're not trying to inundate y'all with too much info and overfill those brains with too much right now. So we'll get more into that when the Champions League and Europa League and more domestic cups come around. But Jeff, thank you. I'm glad that was your question that week. I know we talked about it on episode 0 about getting to it, because that's something that is one of maybe the more challenging things I feel like coming into the sport as an American is like, wait, why is this? What is this league? This is a whole different league. Like, wait, is this not the Premier League? Is this a Premier League? Like, what is EFL? Like, so yeah, awesome. I'm glad you had that. And again, that's going to be one of our returning segments. And if you have anything that you guys would like, by all means, comment, tweet, send us some messages and something that you're saying, hey, you have questions about. Well, by all means, we'll touch on it, give you our American take on it, because I mean, we didn't start as soccer fans. We grew up just like most kids. Like, yeah, we played soccer a little bit here and there just because that's what kids do. We played a little amoeba ball, but then we went on to our own ways, went the big four. And then, but soccer has come back into our lives, and we're really appreciative, and we're just trying to bring that to other people as well. So for sure. Other than that though, boys, we got some little gambling coming up. We can talk about that. JB did mention we got a couple games on Monday. We'll definitely tweet out. So just be on the lookout for that. Jibs, I was gonna say, you got any closing thoughts?
No, that's really it. Great first weekend of the Premier League season. No 0-0 scores, no draws. Otherwise, it doesn't get any better than that. Jeff, hope you had a great time with it. We'll keep pushing buttons. It seems like Paul Pogba has to be a bigger part of your life to get you on the squad. But as long as it's not Liverpool, I'm good. So what'd you think, brother?
I enjoyed it, man. It was fun, and it was fun. It was fun watching soccer with my boys, and just having a good weekend, and all involved. And yeah, I did enjoy watching Pogba play. I did enjoy watching Liverpool play too. So yeah, man, it was great. I'm I'm enjoying the whole experience. and learning a new sport, man. It's not very often you really give a conscious effort to learn a new sport, because then I started thinking like, some of these people have been, this way their entire life, and and it's fun. It's fun to do. So, man, exciting. And and Big John said it 1,000 times. People who said soccer is boring, because it's definitely not. There's a lot of exciting things going on, man.
Yeah, and I definitely think this weekend too was a good definitely like diving in point too, because we were blessed. It was the first weekend back with fans for months, years seemed like, and what Jibs talked on. There was no draws, there was no goalless games. Like, yeah, like I said, you saw the tweet, SpongeBob voice, like, "Oh, soccer's so boring."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no,
There's
I'm
still a lot of
glad.
big names to hop in.
Yeah,
We didn't have
exactly.
Kane, Rashford, Cavani.
Excited, man. Excited to be in the season. It's a long season, so I'm excited to see how it
Yeah.
goes, and the drama that unfolds.
And again, as always, we appreciate you guys checking in with us. Be sure to stay tuned. Follow us on all the socials at We Say Soccer. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, all of that good stuff. And we'll see you later this week. And like I said, anything we'll have updated, we'll have on our Twitter feed. That's the easiest way to reach us. DM us, hit us up. And until then, peace.
We say
Guys.
soccer.